link this. Alright, buddy. Let me know when you'll start Audacity recording. Or John, do a sound test quick.
We don't need it because you're gonna be recording anyway, and I think I have
Okay.
yeah, I've got it all set, so it's all good.
Well, let me know when you want to start Audacity.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and start it now? Okay, let's go skip ahead a bit. Oh. All right.
잘합니다 요새. 상대 전적으로 지금 현재 조일장 선수 쪽으로 이제 부등호가 가 있는 건 사실입니다. 과연 그대로 갈 것인지 아니면 가을에 마법이 통할 것인지 준비 끝났습니다. 조일장 대 유수철 판테온부터 풀어나가 보도록 하죠.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another amazing week of the KCM. We've got a great lineup here today, some surprises. And we're going to be starting off with Hero versus Tealbo, aka YSC. Nice ZVP to start things off. Lineup's a little bit funky this week. We've got some great players on both the Terran and Zerg squad, but it feels like Protoss is bringing out the B team, maybe even the E team in this week. So I don't know. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, it looks like Stork's going to have to be doing a lot of heavy lifting, it seems. We got Tealbo, YSC. He's an okay player. Not too sure if he's up to the same kind of caliber as these other guys, though, so he's going to maybe have a hard time of it. Backhoe kind of sounds like a prostitute that specializes in anal or something, so not too sure how well he's going to fare. Whereas we've got Light, Royal, and Speed, which have all been playing pretty good recently. And Action Jaedong Hero on the other side of the Protoss squad as well. So yeah, both squads looking really fierce. I don't know if I'm feeling like I'm leaning a little bit more towards the Zerg squad rather than a Terran squad so far, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, we haven't seen Backhoe for a really long time. His alter ego, actually his alternate ID, according to Wikipedia, is Jesus. just Jesus. So I did a little research on that guy, and he has quite a bit of controversy around him. Apparently, he is the reason for some of the rulings about typing in chat during the Kespa era. He typed a few things that weren't allowed and almost got disqualified. And after that, they changed the rules so you can only type PP or GG as the only things that are actually allowed to be typed in game. Otherwise, you just get an instant disqualification. Would be a pretty painful way to lose. A really big, important game by accidentally typing something wrong.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was like heart attacks that you would have back in the Kesper days because the rules were actually quite stringent with this stuff. I mean, I think I remember some players like being a little bit nervous if they accidentally typed PPP instead of just PP, which is for, please pause, when you need to pause the game to announce to the referees that there's something wrong that needs your attention.
Yeah, just something as small as that, guys, could actually lose you the entire game. And the entire series is a straight disqualification from the entire tournament. So, yeah, Kespa did not mess around at that time. They were a pretty scary force to be reckoned with. But I think Africa TV is nearly as stringent. And, just getting that third base down. It's pretty normal opener here for Hero, opening with a overpool and producing a few lings to try and put some pressure onto YSC. Any player who's stronger a Zerg than their Protoss opponent is definitely going to want to do stuff like this, because you're bound to make mistakes as the Protoss with these early game gateway openers, and just getting a 1 ling or 2 lings into the main could net you an insane advantage if you're that much faster than your opponent.
Yeah, and it can be a small thing that spirals out of control for the Protoss, especially if you're not comfortable, doing a lot of task switching. Also, it does catch that probe scout before it sneaks in as well. So Hero already pretty in a commanding position right now. Doesn't know how many Zerglings in addition to this are being made right now. Has a couple of Zealots running out onto the map, maybe looking towards that third base to see if they can put on some pressure and buy a bit of time to maybe get a forge down and re-secure the natural again, but was a little bit annoying there for YSC in the early game so far.
Yeah, he's going to send his Zealots back home. He's a little bit worried that they're just going to get picked off at low cost here for Hero, so he wants to bring those back. He can have a bit of a better, stronger mid-game push if he doesn't lose those early Zealots, but Hero hasn't been forced into making a lot of lings. He's been pretty calm here, and dealing with this gateway expansion with just a bare minimum number of lings is going to be a boon to his economy overall. I think this is something you talk about a lot in our casts, and when we talk about Zerg versus Protoss and the advantages that can be gained by being stronger than your opponent is just forcing more and more interactions between the two players and forcing the other person to act on more fronts, to task switch between different locations, controlling different units.
Right.
If you're just outright better than your opponent, going in with lings like that and hitting buildings and running around and attacking different units opens up opportunities. Maybe YSC would never lose that probe, but because he was dealing with other things on the map, he ends up walking into a trap and gets sniped. That's a big advantage, and Hero's going to be looking for those type of advantages throughout this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're essentially asking questions of your opponent, and he has to have the right answers or he's in trouble. And if you're not as strong of a player, sometimes you'll make the wrong call as well, and you'll maybe go down the wrong direction on the behavior tree. You might just be dead because you did one little thing wrong, because you didn't know how to react perfectly to this one interaction that comes your way. And you'll see a lot of the stronger guys try and force those issues a lot, where they just try and put you into an uncomfortable position, at the very least to throw off the optimization of your builds. And because you're not quite as experienced at multitasking and navigating those weird decision trees, because you haven't played quite as many games in those weird positions, you end up on the worst end of the stick of things. And someone like Hero, he's very comfortable at navigating weird situations.
Hero's going to be dictating the pace of this game. I think he's throwing down a third gas already here, Shun, and that's going to be likely for a large number of mutas coming out really early on. A ton of Scourge are going to be produced as well, and he's going to want to fight YSC in the air, it feels like. A third cannon was produced here by YSC, a prudent maneuver. since he wasn't, out on the map with those zealots and figuring out what's actually coming from Hero. He starts that cannon and then cancels it a little bit later. But these Corsairs are in danger. It's that that meme, that Simpsons meme. I'm in danger right now. These two Corsairs on the bus getting picked off. One goes down, the other takes some damage from the one Scourge and will manage to make it back home. But that is really painful when we know that Hero is going for this build. And actually YSC doesn't have confirmation over that third gas. He didn't see the third gas, and he might be caught completely off guard here by this, wave of Scourge that's about to come out.
Yeah, I think so. I think we might have a bit of a full-on like Ogre Zerg moment here. Yeah, he's going to start making some entrenched sunken colonies just to be a little bit safer against counterattacks while he does this. He's going to probably go up to about 10 or so Mutalisks at the bare minimum, and then just flood a wall of Scourge behind that as well. And this could be a bit of a world of hurt for YFC to have to try and navigate, especially losing the first Corsair like that. He's going to be a while before he has like a potent stack of like 6 Corsairs with +1 that he can start gunning down these Scourge. And with the Mutalisks already in high number there, we can see 9 already. They're also going to make very short work of these Zealots, cleaning those up for file 5. So, yeah, I don't know if I like this position for YSC. I think this can go pretty wrong. He's getting a couple of drones here, though. It's not too bad. He's forcing a pull off to the drone line and denying a little. So he's denying some mining time, getting a drone here or there. This is not too bad of damage, but I still worry for him in the coming phases of how he's going to deal with this massive flood of Ogre Zerg.
Yeah, this is going to get really scary. You can see a DT is out on the map, and that means that there's less gas at home for Corsairs and Templar that should be making an Archon right now. He's making 2 cannons in his main mineral line. That's how serious he's taking it. And I'm not sure that they're going to be done in time. And even if they're done, the Mutas can tank those shots from the cannons. And look at this. He's just going to chase this down. He's catching it in the corner here. Oh, man. YSC tried to stick around and actually fight somewhat, but he ends up losing too many Corsairs, and he just doesn't have enough to fight this. There we go. He's catching it on the retreat, and Hero takes over the main base. This is just about all she wrote. There's almost no way to get... Oh, he does have an Archon. Wait, that's kind of important. Having the Archon here might allow him to push things out of the main, and if he takes control of his main once again, maybe he has a shot, but it's a long shot here after all that damage.
Yeah, it's a very big long shot. And Hero's like hitting beats back at home with his macro as well. He's currently 15 supply ahead and rising, and will be pumping out a lot of units. So even if this attack doesn't finish him off, he might just be able to out macro him anyway and just like flood in so many Hydras. But right now, did a pretty good job of navigating around this Archon, but does take a couple of Sonic Shockwave blasts from that Archon, losing quite a lot of his Scourge now, just down to 1. The Corsair pretty much just gets deleted though. GG finally calls from YSE. He wants to tap out. I can hardly say I blame them. I'm not sure what Terran we're going to get out of Lightspeed and Royal to deal with Hero next, but I'm feeling like the Zerg squad's going to be doing well this week, Sam.
Yikes. All right. YSC is gone.
Yeah. What is this lineup? Like, why they put out Bako and YSC? Like, no one else could come?
Mini and Snow and Best and
Bisu,
and I mean, everybody was busy this week, I guess.
Yeah.
Alright.
Alright.
Going. Okay, game number 2. Time for Royal to hit the stage. Be going into this match on Deja Vu. We were just talking in the break there about the Protoss lineup again. I know a lot of you guys are going to be in the comments wondering why we've got 2 kind of B-teamers here. in both Backhoe and YSC, and I really can't explain it. It must be the Protoss out driving their Lamborghinis and you know, hanging out on the beach.
I mean, I think Snow had a kid recently. Maybe that's one
True,
reason. But
true.
and the scheduling issues, maybe a little bit from SSL, but I don't know. There could be a few reasons why they haven't got anyone else to show up, but it's a bit of a shame.
We haven't seen Rain in the KCM for a long time. And I don't think
PvP,
Mini has
man.
any kids. You can't play PvP, yeah. Well, it's good practice for the other matchups. Sure, he'll need it if he wants to win another season, but
He should definitely play in KCM. Yeah, I would like to see him here.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think he just makes too much money doing live streaming, so.
Yeah, he plays Starcraft less than the other pros do. Like he's playing a lot of other games or doing a lot of other stuff, right?
Yeah, he plays, I think, the least out of any SSL level player.
Yes, he does.
It doesn't really show in his gameplay, but unless he's like way off. Sometimes he's, you know, just completely out of practice and he really gets stomped. But if he's put in any practice at all, he seems to. He looks like he's been practicing all the time, but he's not.
Right.
He's definitely not.
Yeah, he definitely seems to have like a different level of understanding of the game on a fundamental level, similar to how Flash does. Just seems to like, you know, understand the game a bit more intuitively in a level that other players aren't quite figuring out. And it's kind of weird that he can play that good with such little time invested. Would like to see him in KCM and see him just a tiny bit more active, even if he's still not playing, you know, as much as these other guys.
Yeah, for sure. Would be nice to have literally any other Protoss player, actually Bisu, anybody. I don't know where these guys are at, but yeah, Best, I don't know what he's doing.
Mini, Snow, where you guys at?
Yeah, not sure, but
On the
we're
pro
gonna
save
be
Atlas.
we're gonna be watching probably some Zerg domination, maybe some Terrans taking some points this week. Unless Stork just goes God mode again. Though I feel like it seems unlikely. I mean, how many times can he pull off an all kill like that?
It's hard, yeah. To do that kind of thing consistently is very unheard of. I mean, it's hard to kill that many players in a row. Anyway, just one time. Doing that like 2-3 times in a short span, like nah, like you're probably not going to happen. It's possible, but it's very unlikely. Like it's as likely as getting stabbed by a squirrel. You mean your chances, you know, technically it won't probably happen, but your chances aren't zero either. You know, there's squirrels out there that have gotten their mitts on a knife. You know what I mean?
Well, getting into this game, we have Royal opening with a pretty standard 2 racks. He's going to be putting on quite a bit of pressure here. It's not the fastest stim rush, but he's going to have that 5-minute timing to start to move out and maybe put some pressure on. I mean, it's not the greatest position to do this because we are cross map. But he could put on a little bit of pressure here. Hero, on the other hand, went for a little bit of a later gas.
Yeah.
And got a 2.5 hatch with the macro hatch quite a bit earlier than most 2.5 hatches we see. Most 2.5 hatches is the hatchery either just before the spire or just after.
Yeah.
But here he threw it down quite quickly, and his mutas will be delayed slightly. He's probably going to still hit a pretty decent timing here. He hasn't been forced to build a huge amount of defenses or anything. Just a few lings out on the map, circling around, looking for this SCV. He finds it in the top right-hand corner. Some really diligent play here by Hero. You can see how many hours and how much practice he's been putting into his play lately.
Yeah.
Because he's just firing on all cylinders here, spreading all over the place. It takes a lot of APM, but he's got that in spades.
Right. Yeah, he's the kind of guy that's kind of fascinating to look at when he's dialed in. Like, not many of the pros can get as locked in as someone like Hero or Flash or some of these other top guys. And all pro players can lock in on a certain level, but you notice much more, like, say, like Snow's play, like, can seem a bit shaky sometimes. He doesn't always seem locked in, right? He's not as consistently locked in as you'd like him to be. Whereas like players like Hero, they almost seem not alien, but almost like an artificial intelligence, like very consistently just dialed into the game state.
Yeah, I get that feeling for sure. You're rarely making any mistakes. Is gonna have a good timing here with the mutas popping out at 6 minutes. Big group heading across the map. He's gonna hit that the 7-8 count where things get really scary. The economic damage can be massive if it's left unattended. Not really a big move out timing for Royal. He's going to be standing out here in the front as kind of a pressure play. As the mutas go in, if they don't pull out right away, then there's a possibility he can walk across the map and get to threaten the natural. So this is working out pretty nice for Royal. He's buying that time. He only lost like 1 or 2 SCVs, and Hero really has to track this now. Doesn't have a choice. But behind this, Royal has 3 Rex production. He's going to be building a lot more Marines and eventually reinforcing this push. You can see he's just slowly backing up here, taking it inch by inch, getting closer and closer to the natural so that he can have a better reinforcement and going into his factory. I think this is pretty well perfect play from Royal. Let's see what he does with his transition, though.
Yeah, I like how Royal's playing. What we see Royal doing right now is just putting out a lot of pressure onto the map, threatening a counter-attack. So even if these mutas did want to just go in for a swipe at the SCVs, he could really heavily punish that, and you have to respect that as Hero. Like, we see him wanting to do a dive into the main base now. He might get on top of the production a little bit. There are 2 turrets that are, look at this pre-repair. Look at that pre-repair from Royal. He's really on top of it. Like, there's no way that Hero can really come in here and break open his position if he's reacting that fast. Does come and rotate around and pick off some of these infantry units, like coming out of these barracks, which aren't too well protected by these turrets on the left-hand side. But looks like this Marine force is going to be making its way into the top right quadrant. It's going to be taking out this hatchery more or less for free, and it's retreating with like the other half of the force. So it's going to come down to whether or not he can like muster a good enough defense of these reinforcing Marines are out on the map. But I'm not sure if he brought enough of his army back home.
This is a little bit crazy from Hero. He wanted to force this fight by building a huge amount of sunken colonies in the natural. He made it kind of impossible for the Marine medic to break into his natural, but it allows the Terran to just take out the 3rd base. And so he's kind of all in right now. In a weird way, he's breaking this Marine medic that's trying to come up the ramp, and the Marines coming back across the map might get caught by a bunch of Lings and Mutas that are being reinforced out here. If he just holds the top, he's going to run in with the Lings. This could be a killing blow here. He's going to get on top of the Marines and start to hit these turrets. These returning Marines are super important. If they manage to come in and push the Mutalists back, there's only 6 mutas, mind you.
Yeah.
That's not a huge amount. Like 5 can one hit kill a Marine, but they're not going to be doing it very efficiently. And here we go. He's really getting these out of his main, and he might just barely be able to stabilize Hirschun. It's so close, but these mutas are very low, and the turrets are just about done. He's lost a lot, but Hero's lost his 3rd base, and I don't know if that's an acceptable loss here.
Yeah, he's got a few more mutas coming across now. He hasn't got very many right this second, just 6, but there's another like 4 that are currently en route. So that'll bring him up to a good 10, 11 soon. So he can keep the pressure on Royal right now. But Royal has weathered the initial storm, and once he starts to stabilize more and more, this does kind of put Hero on a bit of a clock now to actually try and make something happen of this. Otherwise, vessels will eventually be out, and then we've got a radiate, and the game will escalate from there without a 3rd gas. Hero looks like he might be considering doing some kind of 2-base Guardian build or something, or maybe try and contain with the mutas into Defiler, but I'm not too sure that's a good idea.
I don't know. This is, of course, Monday morning quarterbacking, but all the Sunkens made at the natural that used up a lot of Hero's money.
Yeah.
A lot of his minerals were gone at the moment when he needed to be making mutas. He had like a glut of about 500 or so gas during that attack. He just couldn't make the extra mutas. So I wonder if there was a mistake made by him. Of course, he needs those sunken colonies to make sure that Royal doesn't break him in his natural, but does he need them all to be finished? Maybe he could have left, 2 or 3 of them in the creep colony form just to squeeze out those few extra mutas to make this work. I know that's a nitpick there, but this is just such a razor's edge. That last fight there, had he been able to stop those Marines coming up the ramp with a few extra mutas, he would have actually won the game right then and there. But now he's in such a rough position with the powering here from Royal and all of the turrets that have come up. He's just got to go all in. He has no choice. He's going to make a bunch of lurkers and try to break the front. If the situation could have been avoided at all, what do you think, Shun?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, I kind of see what Hero was going for with this. I think maybe just slight miscalculations, but it looked like he was so close to, closing out the game, and he just assumed that the game would be a much more base trade scenario, and maybe overly invested a little bit too much in those sunken colonies and what have you. He has usually got phenomenal muteless micro, which we've seen here. Hasn't quite been enough to dominate the likes of Royal, though. He's really been holding his own in this game and really on top of things with the pre-repairs on the turrets as well. Getting on top of them with these lurkers could be huge, though. He's getting right on top of them with the Ling support. Here, Royal needs to be very careful right now. This game could end in a heartbeat if he makes one small misstep with this bio squad. So far doing a good job of mitigating too much disaster here. Rotating around onto the right-hand side, threatening a run by out onto the map, and maybe catching the lurkers when they shuffle around. He needs to stay as active as possible, keeping these lurkers back away from his front. He does not want to allow the lurkers to contain him in the choke point, because just 4 or 5 lurkers in that choke point is death for a Terran to break out of. But once you're out, slightly in a wider area, the lurkers are not quite as effective anymore. So you want to keep the Zerg back as much as possible, as well as preventing the potential Defiler checkmate move later on. So Royal needs to be super active right now.
That was an insanely good irradiate, by the way, Shun. That did so much damage to the mutas. They can hardly do anything at this point. They're very low in number, and he's got a small pair of Scourge. That's like the Hope Scourge, really. That's the Hail Mary pair of Scourge right there. If you can just snipe a Vessel or 2, maybe you can find a way back in this game, because as that Vessel number increases, we get 4 Vessels and then 6, and 6 irradiates kills everything you can make on 2 bases.
Yeah.
You're just never going to be able to make enough units to break in. Even if you have Defiler coming across, he just irradiates every lurker and makes fire bats, and you just will not make it through the natural. It's not a possibility. Not against someone the quality of Royal, that's for sure. So we have to snipe a Vessel. We have to snipe Vessels here. It's just not going to work. Well, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, he needs to do something to make up the gas deficit that he's currently facing. It's almost 14 minutes into the game, and he's still waiting to get this 3rd gas online. It's kind of pitiful, but he's doing a great job with the tools he's got available to him. So far, so good. He's only a little bit lagging behind the curve of the game relative to what he maybe should be at, but here comes a big pounce from Royal trying to get up these lurkers. Tries to target down, not able to do so, though. One of the vessels gets sniped, so pretty good hold here from Hero. Going to maintain this high ground position about pretty much any losses, so kind of resetting the game state a little bit there, kind of giving a bit more comfort back to Hero again.
We're gonna have 3 more irradiates here in a moment, though, and +2 is already done. +2 +1 on these Marines is disgusting. They have so much damage, and they're not going to be 2-shot by these lurkers either. So it's such an uphill battle here for Hero, and there's those 3 irradiates I was talking about a moment ago. +1 armor actually did finish, so that's actually quite a big boon here for Hero. Fighting up high ground, fighting up this ramp is a little bit rough for Royal, and he's preventing these Marines from moving out on the map and creating a problem for him, and getting around and cutting off his reinforcements and such. So those are good things going for Hero right now. It's just the number of gas units is really low. This lurker stuck in the middle is hilarious, and the vessel count is getting way too high. That's 5 vessels. He can kill 5 lurkers. I don't think he can make lurkers even to replace the number he's got, not to mention actually grow the number that he has.
Yeah, I mean, right now he wants to just try and see if he can set up a position where he can, push the Terran into all the way back into his natural, but he's not able to do it. Like, Royal's been super active at like staying as wide as possible with his army movements. Finally, Plague is done actually, so getting a pretty beautiful Plague on that clump of bio units. If he can get another chained Plague onto those clump of vessels and maybe get a Mutalisk or a Hydralisk or something to snipe them, this game could still turn around for Hero. It's still a bit of an uphill battle. Oh, look at that beautiful Plague! That's what we need to see. And now he's coming into this pocket with a borrowed Lurker underneath the Dark Swarm, cutting off the force of reinforcement and retreat for this Bioforce. He can now try and isolate this Bioball on the right-hand side to see if he can squeeze more value out of these units.
Dude, I was not feeling the Plague there on the Marines, but once you get that Plague on these vessels, here we go, diving on top of them. He's going to get so many vessels. He doesn't throw away the mutas to just get those last two. Maybe it might have been worth it. Just, jump on top of that. Another Plague comes up, but it's on the only two vessels that have already been plagued. Here comes some Scourge as well. Hardly even necessary at this point, but throwing them in there. Might be able to get something. Oh, gets both the last two vessels. There we go. Only one Irradiate remaining. Hero can do this.
Yeah, he can definitely do this. He's done a great job of turning this game around. Look at this massive flood of bats coming out of the barracks now. He knows that he needs to have some kind of tool available to him to break under Dark Swarm. When it's just one or two Lurkers and a Dark Swarm, a round of fire bats can actually break through that. So now this gives a little bit of a... Oh, that Plague was insane, though. I'm not sure if Royal can handle this. Like, he's just getting chewed up all of a sudden. Like, Hero, like we were saying earlier, can just navigate these awkward situations with some finesse. Now going back in with another group of units, throwing down Dark Swarm, seeing if he can drive a wedge between these two forces once again. Bats just trying to pounce on top of those Lurkers, but some Link support coming in behind, gonna interrupt their targeting a little bit, make it very difficult to clean up the remainder of the Lurkers. It's just one or two Fire Bats barely finishing off the Lurkers in time, but more Lurkers are now able to get underneath the Dark Swarm and accomplish the same goal anyway. So Hero's still making a big run for this, but some Marines are killing off Overlords, and it is getting a little bit weird of a game here. I'm not sure if Hero's got like enough mass of units to really have control of the game right now, but so far he's doing a pretty good job utilizing his tools.
Oh boy, he's gonna lose about four Defilers underneath that Dark Swarm. That's kind of crazy. I don't know where he got the gas for that. I guess the third gas was finally kicking in here. Some units making their way over to the top right hand corner. It's just pure Marine. Could be stopped by just one Plague and a few Hydras, but we'll see if he manages to get something up there to deal with this kind of bust out here by Royal. That was a crazy fight, by the way.
Yeah.
That fight we saw with just mass Fire Bats against 5 Lurkers under Dark Swarm. The deficit in the overall. Oh my God.
Oh,
the
wow.
SCVs. Wait a second. So many SCVs are running through this. None of them die somehow. But I mean, all he needs to do is rotate the Lurkers over a little bit, and he should be able to break that. Oh, the Marines came back home. Oh, and a bunch of Marines died over here on the left side as well. I think things are starting to fall apart here for Royal. He's replenished his vessel count quite to a healthy number, but is he going to be able to keep them alive? Scourge are coming through. We're going to have Plague on top of some of this stuff here pretty soon. A lot of these SCVs are going to go down. Army making its way over here to the top right, but there's Lurkers on the high ground. I feel like Hero has an answer for everything. In the moment that it seems like Royal is going to stabilize and start to get out on the map, Hero finds another way in, another Plague, another little push with the Dark Swarm to make things scrappy once again and punish Royal for being out of position, even just slightly.
Yeah, a Hero is somehow able to navigate the most darkest of waters, it seems, without a compass. Like, no lanterns are lit. He's just like rudderless sailing through the abyss and still somehow manages to show up to your party on time. I don't know how he does it, but he still manages it. I mean, the vessel count is still like somewhat sizable, but now that it's been like plagued non-stop and been reduced, it's much more difficult to churn out the irradiates. He's finally gotten the CC set up at the right-hand side, but he's not able to mine from it really at all yet. He's now finally got another SCV train coming over here, but now there's Lurkers back again.
Oh man, this second SCV train getting absolutely destroyed. These Marines on the high ground just wandering into Lurker spines. Some more Lurkers are going to pop out here. Looks like this is not going to trade well. But some Hydras coming in, clearing out the vessel count. I don't know how many vessels just went down there. I think we just got the tail end of about 4 or 5 vessels falling at the same time. And there's Royal with no money left in the natural. It is so bad. Another huge plague here. Hero just completely finessing Royal in this game. This is so impressive.
It's very impressive because like there's a lot of moments where like Hero was almost falling apart, where he had like hardly any tools left, like, and now he's just barely got enough economy where he can like just churn out a massive amount of Hydras to kind of finish the job here. And finally going to be tapping out. GG is called. Wow, I'm pretty impressed by Hero. This is a very difficult game for Hero to win. Like he assumed that it would be some kind of weird base tradey scenario, but it wasn't at all. And he kind of like sacrificed his third base essentially for nothing, and somehow still managed to recover. That's almost unheard of. Most Zergs are GGing out when they lose their third gas like that.
I've seen so many Zergs try what Hero just did and completely fail, and I've personally tried the same thing, like doing the base trade. It doesn't work. You lose your third. You just try to, okay, let's just wing it, you know, lurkers into Defiler, try to make it happen. He did such a good job of containing on the high ground. I feel like this is a unique situation for a very unique map, don't you think? Like the fact that he was able to sit on high ground and just hold that area and stop the breakouts, the way that you kill that and stop that from working is you get to the other side of the army and stop the rallies. That is the real killing blow for a push like what we saw out of Hero. And he just wasn't able to get around. He wasn't able to get out, and the plagues came through. I don't know how he managed to sneak all those upgrades out. It's so expensive, like 300 gas worth of just pure upgrades to get the Defiler to that point where he can start spending plagues, and he somehow snuck that out while containing Royal with 2-1. It's just insane. I really...
Literally any other Zerg is dead there. Literally any other Zerg is dead there.
Yeah. Anyone. I mean, even Sulky would have an extremely hard time making that work and probably would have fallen apart, but somehow Hero makes it happen. I bet that Royal is kicking himself right now, dude. That was a 1 game for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Damn, man.
That was intense.
That's why I think like it's only a matter of time before Hero wins like a championship. But so far he's been not coming up. Maybe this is the time.
Yeah, maybe this is it.
구성훈 선수 하면은 잉어킹은 뭐 워낙 잘해서 프로리그 100승을 한 뭐 몇 안 되는 선수 중에 하나예요.
그 치어풀에다가 붕어빵 그려놓고 막. 아.
Hero gonna continue on now, going up against Backhoe, aka Jesus. Over here in the top left, Monty Hall. Maybe there's a chance Backhoe can pull something sneaky out. Jesus can walk on water today. Managed to beat Hero. I don't know. Hero is just looking so sharp.
Yeah, like scary sharp. We were just saying off air a little bit, like I think this guy is only a matter of time before he finally gets his championship, and he's always been like a kind of round of 4, round of 8 player, always super consistent at smashing through into the higher echelons of the tournaments, but never quite getting that number 1 champion belt. But maybe that will change soon. Look at this play from Backhoe though, being super aggressive, just going to be doing a 9-9 gate rush and probably putting a lot of pressure onto Hero. If he scouts it, this will be okay, but if he doesn't scout it, this could be a real big problem for Hero.
Oh my... Dude.
Oh no.
Oh no. Hero.
He's not even sending his
We
Overlord.
need to send an Overlord.
Oh my gosh. Please tell me you're sending your... Oh my gosh.
Oh, the vector on this Overlord is not looking good here, Shun.
No, this is crazy. This is crazy.
this is such a obvious Protoss build. They do this all the time on ladder, of course. You gotta check your mineral patches. You gotta have vision on everything. All the entrances to your base.
I mean,
and I'm shocked that Hero's not looking at this. He's building a spawning pool, but it's actually not double gate. It's just one gate, which might be holdable.
Yeah, it's holdable. It's just awkward as anything. The Zealot finishes so quick that he'll probably get at least 1 or 2 drones and maybe quite a bit of lost mining time, even if he doesn't lose too many drones. And if you notice how Hero hasn't yet mined out any of these patches, so he can't actually do drills to escape and go mine at his natural if the pressure becomes too much. So this could get out of hand very quickly.
Oh, what is Hero doing? He's not even microing yet. Okay, he's gonna start to pull the drones. There are scenarios where the drones get on top of the Zealot and force it to dance, and you can actually take no damage, but that is a really tough thing to pull off, and he's already taken some damage on these drones. I don't know if he's going to end up losing a whole bunch, but he's producing 6 lings. He just needs to buy time. No drones have died so far. He starts a sunken here, I think. Okay, gets on top of the Zealots, and he hasn't taken any losses yet. He gets a surround on this, and he's shooting over the lings with the drones. This is pretty good hold so far by Hero. He might just take no damage. This is kind of insane.
Yeah, he also Backhoe like put a pylon down to block off the mineral from being mined out. This is like very interesting game from both of these players so far. This could translate into a very interesting finish. I think there's just barely enough Zealots that this attack might continue, but with the Sunken, he has to be much more tactical about this, so I think the game's going to slow down, and in a weird way, now Backhoe kind of wishes this was mined out, because then he could put on pressure onto this natural hatchery, so in a way, this is working in Hero's advantage now that this hasn't been exposed, this natural expansion of his.
Yeah, this is a weird situation. For sure. He has no mineral in his for his probe, so he could mine that, but he has to kill his own pylon to make that work. He's gonna lose 1 Zealot. Okay, that's bad. He just lost 1 Zealot for free over there. And the other Zealot's gonna pop out and maybe get surrounded. Okay, he keeps it alive, but the Zealot number's not really growing. He's keeping it in check, and his Ling number is getting out of control.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious what Hero's plan is going to be from here on. Because he has to get something to deal with these Corsairs. Like, is he going to try and do some kind of 2-hatch Hydra play? Yeah, 2-hatch Hydra makes sense. Like, we need to do something here. I'm curious if he wants to be aggressive with this or just purely posture defensively and go into Lair and Spire from here. I think either are fine. The main thing is just making sure he nails his execution with mitigating any damage that's going to be coming out of Backhoe in the coming minutes.
So I think that Hero can actually mine that 1 mineral patch with a drone on the other side.
Yeah.
And then just flood lings from the top side and surround this. But it feels like he doesn't really want to do that. Yo, he's going to have to kill his own pylon so he can mine that and get into the natural. But every time he moves to do that, lings come forward and start at the gateway, and he can't be losing the gateway. He's kind of tied himself up into like a Chinese finger trap here. Yeah. His thumbs are stuck together, and he can't really go in either direction.
It's a very bizarre.
This is a conundrum of his own making, though, and I feel like Hero is just gonna dance around him and probably end up taking this game. This is a rough situation for our Protoss player. He's going to lose his gateway for sure now that Hydras are out.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. And he won't have speed on these Zealots for an exceptionally long time relative to right now. So eventually, yeah, he's going to lose that gateway, lose those Zealots. And it's going to be a bit unfortunate for him. There was a little bit of a window where something could have been done, but I think he kind of played himself a little bit with that pylon. I mean, it just kind of negated a lot of his options and kind of made things a little bit more simplified for Hero. Tries to go in there, but Hero's just ready for the full surround. The second he tries to do anything, Hero's always got just barely the right calculated amount of units to completely overwhelm you. And yeah, as you can see, even though there's not that many Hydras right now, there's just barely enough Zerglings to soak for these. But the problem is, now that the Sares are coming in, the Hydras have to decide, do I finish killing these, or do I go and clear up these from killing my Overlords? So you have to make sure you balance and switch up, so you've got a couple of Hydras keeping those Corsairs off of your Overlords while you're also microing against these Zealots. So there's another opportunity for Backo to come in here and try and do some damage. So far, Hero's been doing a good job, but now the Zealots are finally in the natural expansion. He's still not able to get them. This is crazy from Hero. Like, he's kind of like not really made any significant mistakes.
Dude, that Hydra was like a ballerina, man. He's just running around like a gymnast there, flipping over that Zealot, and with no HP remaining, manages to stay alive. Just the jukes and dodges there from Hero are insane. He is on another level today.
Yeah,
really giving us some amazing games, and proving that he is more than capable of just manhandling, mid-tier Protoss. These guys, this guy, I mean, everything went right with this rush for Backo. There was like a golden opportunity, a gift from the gods to Backo himself. Jesus himself wouldn't have gotten a better, roll of the dice from God in this situation. He manages to not scout that, and here we are now in probably the worst situation possible because the execution from Hero is just too good.
Yeah, I mean, he's even like putting a decent amount of damage down onto these Corsairs when they come on their first flyby. So, I mean, if he's going to be this on top of things, I'm trying to wonder, how can Backo come into this game again? I mean, it has to be something maybe a bit extreme. I don't think he has the confidence to do something like Reaver Sarah or anything like that. So I'm not really sure what his options are going to be. He might just have to try and play like a relatively straight up game here. Maybe what would be good is if he could try and bait Hero into going Mutalisks and then setting up for a Maelstrom combo. That would be one of the ways I could see him getting a big enough tempo swing in this game.
Yeah, the real problem right now for Backo is that although he's on kind of a semi-island map right now, there's not a good way for Hero to attack his natural or his main. It's not that hard. Like, we can just send some drones over here and mine that, and we can then get to work attacking that that natural base. Now, killing off the Overlord here and going to work with the Dark Templar, if he doesn't notice this right away, okay, 3 drones, 4 drones, that's some reasonable damage here. This is one of those ways that he can get back into the game, I guess. I wasn't considering that maybe Hero would, have a lack of Hydras at one of his bases and only 1 Overlord to get sniped. That seems like something that he would be on top of, but he does end up taking a bit of economic damage. It's just, is it really enough here to mitigate a potential attack from Hero and the damage he's taken so far? Oof, and yeah, losing in Corsair as well. There's a potential for that Mutalisk switch pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, he's starting to add some ingredients into a bowl. Whether or not he can finish baking the cake with that remains to be seen. But yeah, I certainly am favoring Hero's position right now, despite Backo finding a little bit of economic damage there. He's trying to set up his third base at the 9 o'clock. Can't really fault him for it, but he needs to start finding some other kind of value and tempo swing in this game, because Hero's such a powerful macro Zerg. Like, he plays pretty much any style, but if you just let him sit back and do what he wants to do, it's crazy the amount of units he can pour out of his Zerg macro engine. And it looks like he's just going to rush up into 4 base, go up to like 7 to 9 hatchery production, and just absolutely demolish Backo. Backo can't like figure out something like even just like a Maelstrom or Storm drops, get more Corsairs. He needs to find a way of like figuring out a tempo swing in this game to isolate Hero enough that he can come back in it. But so far he doesn't really seem to be doing anything too significant, just being a little bit fancy, trying to come in and scout a little bit of his Corsairs. But he's going to pay the price every time he does this and just lose 1 Corsair, and then Hero's just going to be happy to be the tax man and just claim that.
Yeah, the Mutalist. I was expecting this. 4 gases already from Hero, and he's sniped several of these Corsairs. We had one get sniped off screen, and then another one sniped in the main base there of Hero. So only 2 remain. This is a game ripe for Mutalisk production, and he's just going to start pumping those out. I don't see a red Archon. Do you see one?
No.
Shun? I don't think there's going to be one here. He's building a bunch of Dragoons, and he's got quite a few Storms available. But there's no Archon. There's no red Archon. He's actually going to start to do some sort of push here, and I think there's a golden opportunity for Hero to just snipe all the Templar. Here he comes forward. Storm is available. Is he going to cast it? I don't see it. One shuttle is out. It's spotted by Hero. This is another move that could potentially bring Bako back in the game, is sneaking DTs into the main, but
Yeah.
I don't think he's even going to be able to do that now that it's been revealed.
Yeah, I mean, he's already shown that he's been wanting to go for the DT plays. I don't think Hero's going to let him get that kind of significant damage into the main base, unfortunately. But Hero coming into this third base location, taking out the cannons, and it looks like Bako's option is just going to be like run it down mid, and the Sunkens are on the way, but they're not yet quite finished up. If he can pull the trigger quick, okay, they're just barely finishing in time. I think Hero barely might be able to hold on to this with 5 Sunkens. It's just barely enough to I think there's like at least 1 or 2 lurkers there, so with some Hydra support he should just barely have enough to hold this, as long as the Hydras can stay spread out and storm dodge just a little bit. But it looks like actually there's not much support coming in from the Mutas yet, and the phase disruption shot's just ripping through those Sunkens, and there's no surface area for the Hydras to actually take advantage of, so they can't even like contribute to the fight at all, and now they're kind of pinned back behind the economic line. So now we got a full siege mode set up from Batco, just gonna be raining down onto this production line and forcing bad trades from Hero. Maybe Hero could be in a lot of trouble here, but he's coming in with the mutants from behind, trying to take out some of the remaining forces of the infantry of Batco. He's just barely clearing it up, and we got more still at 14 minutes into the game. No speed on these zealots from these reinforcements. Kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, this was a pure Dragoon Templar attack. He had to be really cautious with how he spent his storms, and I think he threw a few too many storms out that kind of missed the mark here against Hero. You really want to wait for the full engagement of the Hydras against the Dragoons before you throw out that storm. Any like small skirmish between, you know, a load of Dragoons and just a couple of Hydras is great for the Protoss. He ends up throwing out a few too many, and Hero holds on to this base. That's crazy. We didn't even see any snipes on Templar. He just purely held that with the Mutalist flank and a few Hydras spread out, taking little fights there. If there was like 10 Zealots with speed reinforcing that attack, I think he would have been able to break it there. A big drop coming over this wall. He's going to go ahead and assault the third base of Protoss, and actually a drop coming down to the bottom left. He's going to take another base backhoe down in the bottom left. This is going to get weird if Protoss gets a 4th base up, but this might end up getting shut down right now. 2 cannons only. Hydra's being dumped out on top of this. I think he can possibly kill this Nexus.
Yeah, I think he should be able to. I think there's some Dragoons nearby, but I don't think there's any Templars. And without Storm, there's no way he'll kill off those Hydras in time. They are going to get in a snipe on that. And now can also just retreat to safety. I'm not sure if he'll have any idea about this 4th base that wants to come online. If he can scout that out, that's going to be even more annoying. But even just being reduced to 2 bases like this is already a nightmare position for Backho now. Very difficult for him to resecure footing. There's some lurker drops here coming into the natural expansion. So many probes could die. He does get a probe pull away with most of them, but did kill quite a few probes with those 2 lurkers. So already taking a big chunk out of the economy of the Protoss player, but he's still adamant in surging forward now, breaking through the Hydra line, actually thinning those out. So there's not a huge force here, but these minerals haven't been mined out on the bottom lane. So Hero's pretty much safe from any further assaults from that angle at the very least, and instead wants to put on his own counterattack in the middle lane now.
16 kills on those lurkers. It's a great move, forcing the probes to run away from the 3rd and then dropping lurkers at the natural.
Yeah.
The overall saturation at that natural was insane. You could just see how few minerals remain there as an indicator of how many probes have been mining at that location. And now Hero is, I mean, not having the greatest saturation at his fourth, but he's still able to produce a lot of units. He's just focusing completely on unit production and expecting a push here. And I think he's completely right. We're going to take a base out in the front. The third base is going to come down for Backo, but he actually needs a fourth, and he needs to maybe push out against Hero now. Diving forward, going to jump on top of these Templar. 2 Templar get picked off, but all the Hydras die.
Yeah.
And the Dragoon number is still strong, plus 2 Templars in the background. He could potentially push this base, although that's a lot of Hero Hydras. I mean, we've seen how well he can fight against pure Dragoon in the past, and I'm not sure that Backo can make this work, but a counterattack at the same time, it's going to cause some chaos on the side of Hero. 2 storms get out. He's got some zealots rallying forward. Let's not call this too soon. He's actually pushing in a pretty heavy way while harassing these 2 bases at the same time. Only 1 lurker remains. 2 more storms come out. There's just barely enough storm here to push everything back. And Hero may end up losing this 4th base.
I mean, it's very possible he'll lose this base, but there is a lot of gas that's being dried up in the side of Backo right now. He's like just barely doing it with his army superiority, but back at home, he pretty much is mined out and waiting for this Nexus to finish on his 3rd base so he can start mining again. So he's pretty much dried up while this was all going on, but he did have a supply lead, so did have enough forces to kind of leverage against Hero and put him into a bit of a weird situation. And now Hero's starting to become mined out in his main and natural as well, so maybe he can reset this power scales a little bit while taking out this 4th base. Would be kind of crazy. Hero's just barely squeezing out some Hydras to fight this, though. He needs a perfect storm to kind of stop this from killing these Hydras. I don't think that's going to be... Okay, the 2nd storm helps out a lot. The Archon Morph may be enough, but I don't think so. I think there's just barely enough Hydra trickle to defend this.
Yeah, Hero's mining on 2 bases right now. He's just getting his drones over to that 3rd once again, and the 4th is about to die. These Hydras bashing away at the Archon. That's just buying a little bit of time to maybe snipe this 4th. The 4th hatch survives, dude. This game is insane now. This started with a proxy gateway.
Yeah.
And now we're here at 18 minutes, 19 minutes into the game. I mean, I did not expect any sort of recovery from Backo, but he just killed the 4th base. He's got his own 3rd. This is a winning situation for Protoss. I can't believe I'm saying it, but this is a Protoss win if this game continues on this trajectory.
I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, the 4th base has just been taken out. Protoss is now on 1 base as well, and 1 base Protoss beats 1 base Zerg, so this is looking pretty dicey for Hero. All of a sudden has a plenty of gas, but just doesn't have the minerals to really muster up a meaty army. He's like a very strong, potent, advanced, evolved alien race with not enough biomass to actually field a force to actually deal with the Protoss right now. So yeah, a little bit of a catch-22 situation, and suddenly Backo's back on the board.
I can't believe this is the world that we live in, Shun. Hero is about to lose to Backo? Wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly not a sentence I thought I would ever say in my life ever, but we might be saying that today. I mean, it's kind of wild, Sam.
Yeah, it's an or is he moment, because Hero, I mean, Hero still has units. He's way behind. He's got hardly any income. He's gonna snipe this shuttle here. The shuttle gets sniped off screen. These lurkers get into the 3rd. Oh my god, this damage is insane. So many probes just went down. He has no mining. Absolutely no mining. He just cancels everything. I think he's gonna give up the main and try to make lurkers somewhere out on the map and just sandbag this push.
Hopefully crap.
The losing all the buildings here is going to take time. Killing all these buildings is going to take time. Maybe he can make like 10 lurkers at the 3rd and just try to survive. There's like no probes left.
I mean,
oh yeah, sunken colonies, lurkers going to be made.
Anything to sandbag this push, because yeah, after killing that many probes, it kind of like gives him many more win conditions now. Just to kind of has to like weather the storm and keep this 3rd base online as long as possible. But I don't know. I mean, Backo can still do this if he's got just a few probes left remaining. Maybe he can make this work. It's gonna be extremely difficult. He's gonna need like some pretty monstrous storms and what have you. But it's like a Doom drop going to be coming out of Hero. He wants to go on the aggressive here.
Whoa, I was not expecting this. I thought he was going to choose a choke. Maybe just choose like a location to have his final stand. But instead he's going to expand to the island. He might lift all his drones and put them on the island. That might be the Giga Brain maneuver. He's going to drop on the third base. As long as he snipes this Templar, okay, the Templar is going to get its storm off, but that's a pretty decent dodge. He's going to kill this base 100%. Dude, if he goes to the island with all his drones, it's absolutely goated. This is such an insane... he's doing it.
Yes, he's doing insane. He's doing insane. This guy's a legend.
No way.
This guy's the GOAT. This guy's the greatest of all time. This guy is on a different level.
Snipe. Yeah, find it. Robotics. There it is. There it is.
There it is.
Get it. That's the win con right there.
For those that aren't sure why we're freaking out right now, because right now there'll be no situation where Bako could even get his units up onto this high ground in the top right. He does have a probe in the bottom left, but if he can't get his units up into the top right to actually kill this off, Hero can actually mine up again and still be fine.
Yeah, Hero can eventually come back. It's gonna take like 10 minutes for him to get back into the game. Well, with this many drones, maybe he can, make a spawning, because he has to make a spawning pool. Then he has to make a Hydra den. He has to make extra hatcheries, make more units. This is so ridiculous. I don't think he knows about the base in the top right, man. Oh, there's some probes down here too.
Yeah, but he can't make a Nexus. He killed the Nexus and he can't mine any more minerals, so he can't get up to 400 to make a Nexus. So Hero just Hero wins by default.
There it is. Yeah, no Nexus. So even though he's got these probes, he can't return any minerals. Oh, dude.
Hero is just... I'm so happy we talked about this earlier on, just how locked in Hero is into the game state and how good he is at navigating with situations. He just, heard us talking and was like, yeah, let me show you what's up.
Dude,
wow.
If he had 400 minerals, he could make a Nexus, or he could make a robo and a shuttle. A robo and shuttle, but he can't do either of those. He can't do anything. He sees it in the top right. Oh, dude, Bako, his heart sinks. He says GG.
That's the cool way of saying it.
That is hilarious, dude. This is what he's famous for. He said that in a Kespa match and almost got disqualified, and that's what they made him change the rules. That's his way of saying GG. Oh, dude, that's hilarious. Oh, man, I'm so glad that I talked about that lore from the beginning of this game. Dude.
I copied that for a while. I was ZZ yoing people for like a year or two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was.
Well, I think Bako may have earned some fans today, even though he was a kind of a awkward addition to this squad, putting out an epic game there. Hero still showing us some insane quality. Quality gameplay. Wow, Hero.
If there's any game you want to win, if you want to win in any style, you want to win in that style, because no one is navigating those games with that level of finesse than Hero is. Like that's such a showcase of your ability as a player.
That's going directly into the 2024 best of archive for this year for sure. Great game. We're getting so many good games on Monty Hall, man. I'm really happy it's in the...
I told you it'd be a good map.
Yeah, in the SSL ladder pool or the map pool this season. We're gonna jump into our next game after a quick recovery here. I gotta grab a drink and maybe lay down for a minute, and that was insane.
Can't blame you.
Oof. What a wild one.
Yeah, that's a wild way to win, man. Damn. This hero's so sick.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
Imagine being that calm under that amount of pressure and being able to just casually figure out that that's the winning game state. It's like, oh yeah, I just do this, I'm alright. Fuck, man.
Yeah, dude.
But that's just wild.
I can't imagine.
Oh.
조금만 더 IQ
I mean, fair play to Becco. He almost had him. Almost had him.
반대로 조일장
Almost had him, dude.
So close.
He almost came out of the woodwork and beat like the number 1 or number 2 Zerg in the world.
Yeah.
That's what that can happen, you know. You pull out like a sneaky build. I mean, it wasn't really even the proxy that was gonna kill him, though, right? It was the follow up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The proxy is just basically to, you know, mess up your build order, make you take damage, and make the next phase of the game harder. You know, it would be like a 9/9 gate if it was meant to kill him. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah. All right.
네, 자 개천절을 맞이해서 함께하고 있습니다. KCM 종족 체험전 2023
Here we go.
시즌 5주차인데요. 여러분 지금 그 손차롱 선수 방송 가가지고요. 뭐 일단은 추천도 많이 눌러주시고 왜냐면 그리고 또 이제 팬가입도 많이 부탁드리겠습니다. 정말 이런 선수.
Okay, Hero versus Speed for our next match on Kickback. This guy, we've been talking so much about him. Speed is a absolute killer.
Yeah.
Such a strong Terran player. This is where he really shines as well as Terran versus Zerg. So I'm excited to see what kind of match he's going to put out, what kind of strategy he has prepared for Kickback. I'm sure we're going to get his best here today.
Right. Yeah, he was going under the ID like 10-minute flash, right? I mean, this guy and that ID does kind of spell it out for you. He wasn't quite as good as Flash, but for the first 10 minutes of the game, if you covered up the IDs, you might be like, "Oh, is that Flash?" Like he's, you know, he is very good at his execution, especially in the earlier phases of the game. And yeah, I'd love to see more from this player. He's up and coming essentially compared to some of these other pros that have been around for, you know, years and years and years and years. So it's nice to see like a new blend of Terran rising up into the higher echelons of play. So, you know, players like Sharp as well. It's nice to have a much more modernized variety of pro gamer now.
He's certainly proven that he has the dedication and the grit to practice as hard as is necessary to do well in these big tournaments, and he's starting to get his sea legs or his stage legs under him, not as shaky, not as nervous under the big lights on the big stage. He seems to like be refining his play and, you know, finding his style, which, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you need to do if you really want to excel in this kind of environment. Speed he's making his way there slowly, and like you, I'm really excited to see his progress. Speed actually opened CC first,
Yeah.
and Hero's going to go double hatchery before pool. So both players with absolute maximum greed. There's really nothing more greedy than what we're seeing out of these two. And I mean, it's going to be a pretty even match, I think.
Yeah, this is pretty much like the mirror build versions relatively for their races, what they're doing here. Like, you know, maximum greed early game, trying to get a big economic boon here. Even with a pretty delayed gas here from Hero, not trying to squeeze out as early as possible even, just happy to get maximum economic advantage and lava advantage here. Can't really fault it. This is the kind of map you'd probably want to do this on out of all the other maps. This is the map to do this on. And it's a good way of countering 14cc as well. There's a lot of times where if you don't scout the 14cc early enough as Zerg, and they do a full wall, and you just can't really punish it, and you kind of have to play from behind sometimes. So this is a nice way of like guaranteeing that you're going to be okay against CC first, right?
Yeah, CC first is so deadly, and we're actually seeing the most abusive version of CC first, I think, which is CC first into mech.
Yeah.
It's just so strong.
Yeah.
I think the first person I saw doing this was Flash on the ladder, but a lot of people have been abusing this as well, and now I see it all the time on the ladder. I go up against this a lot, and it is insanely powerful. Like all the things, all the like calculations that you do in your head to be like, oh, I should have enough mutas to fight him at this time, or like I can poke in. You know, none of that applies because there's just way more Goliaths than you would ever expect.
Yeah, it's certainly trickier. I mean, the only way I've really been able to have success against mech is when you get up to the situation where you've got two groups of mutas and you have like, you know, one group outside their main, one group outside their natural, and you kind of like ping pong them back with the both groups of mutas to kind of keep them guessing and struggling to multitask defending. But it's very hard to execute, and as long as the Terran player is not a complete sausage monkey, they can still get high value in their defense without much effort.
You have to deal with these vultures as well. If a vulture slips in and starts dealing a little bit of economic damage, it just makes it that much harder to overwhelm those Goliath numbers. And it really does seem like Speed's going to get in here and potentially get a big amount of damage. One drone going to fall immediately. The Lings are on their way back. They have speed. There's a second drone. This is really, really rough for Hero. Although he opened with a pretty greedy and strong build, I mean, the greed is really high here for Speed as well, and he gets damaged with almost no investment.
No, I like Speed's opening so far a lot more, and he's even getting another drone. Absolutely beautiful play from Speed. I'm so impressed with him.
Oh,
double armory.
Double armory.
Yeah, he's going full upgrade. This is full upgrade Terran style. He's going to be like super turtle heavy, and this might work out really well. And think about it, on this map, Zerg kind of does bleed out on gas pretty quickly, and he did rush up to 3 bases. So I mean, there is a world here where, yeah, I mean, Speed, if he just takes it slowly but surely and takes his time, is a bit patient, and just goes full on upgrade style here, he could just really outscale Hero, and eventually Hero will just dry up by like the 19-minute mark or whatever. He'll just dry up completely and be dead in the water.
Big fans of the channel will remember that I think Flash was the first one we ever saw not only do this build, but specifically double armory play off of the CC first.
Yeah.
Because you have so much more money. You can get the gas so much quicker, the second gas so much quicker. You have so many options from this position, and he's going to have such fantastic upgrades. Plus, you kind of have to be worried here as Hero that we're going to get an attack, and if he telegraphs an attack is coming and he just grabs his third CC and goes into a starport. This is the most important place on the map right now. Hero has to get into this base and see that starport or the double armory. Otherwise, he's just not going to know what's coming, and he's going to react poorly, and not figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, and when he identifies exactly what's happening here, he won't even be comfortable making Mutalisks anymore. Like, you kind of have to, once you see like the lower factory count double armor, you're kind of like, okay, I need to switch straight into Hydras, and I'm playing like a maniac because I know how stressful this game is now going to be, right? This is like not a comfortable position, and he knows the Terran has a free third base here. This is another problem. Even if he somehow managed to keep the Terran on 2 base, he can't do that anymore. The Terran's got a free third base. So yeah, this game is kind of a nightmare for Hero to navigate going forward here, and he's forced into making pure Hydras pretty much as well.
If he knew what was going on in the main, he's actually flown in and seen the third now. If he knew exactly what was happening, he would have just built almost no Hydras and gone to a fourth. Made like mass drone, try to get as much economy rolling as possible, because he actually needs to get into Queens, and we see the Queen's Nest now. Hydra Queen is probably going to be the best counter to what's going on for Speed. It's not a perfect counter, but it's the best he can do right now, because Speed has already done, I think, +1, 1-1, and he's going to start 2-2. His army is going to be insanely good. There's not really much you can do with pure Muta or pure Hydra. It has to be the Queen's coming in and actually helping you to get that value, and he's just going to try and take a fourth now. He's really behind the curve here. I know we've already counted out Hero a few times, or not counted him out, but just said how bad of a position he was in, and expected him to lose, and then he somehow comes back. I don't know if he can come back in this one, man. This would be, if he does it 3 times in a row, this might be like one of the best KCM episodes ever, man. This would be insane.
Yeah, that would be absolutely out of this world, Zayn. But queens are basically the only thing that gives you any kind of high value potency of a tempo in swing in this matchup. You can actually beat 3-3 mech with 0-0 hydras as long as you have like 12 broodling queens and you've got perfect cloning. You can actually still beat that as long as you pre-split the hydras. Like, you can actually do some pretty crazy things as long as you've got queens to support you. But yes, I think you're completely right. I think like, it has to be queens. He needs to hide the queens. They're hiding, I think, at the third base area, like above this dead zone between the third and the fourth right now. That's not a bad place to put them. It takes 2 minutes for the energy to come online for a broodling. And he does see the queen, so he knows there's
very
going to be
good scan.
Yeah, very good scan. And I think he sees the tail end of that hive being made as well, so he knows the timing of that.
This is going to be rough. No third gas for Hero. He's just trying to optimize his mineral income right now to get as many drones out as possible. He knows that there's going to be a push, probably at 2-2 with an amazing, enormous amount of tanks and Goliaths. He has to stop it with pure Hydra. The queens are going to play a big role here because I think he's got enough time to get out that 150 energy, but oh man, he can't be losing anything.
Did you see how Hero had his hydras just a moment ago before he ran them back? They were like had ever so slightly a tiny gap between most of the hydras. Like there's actually like a advanced technique where you want to like slightly pre-split your hydras versus mech to like minimize the splash damage of the tank shots, and you can actually trade so much better as long as you don't like take too many splash hits on your hydras as they run in.
Yeah, that's an advanced technique I haven't yet mastered. There's so much going on in a mech game like this. There's so many factors to take into consideration, but I think that he's handling everything really well. Look at this. He's going to catch this. Oh, there it is. One vulture gets out. It's still annoying, but that is a hugely impactful catch by Hero. He's going to get up here with the hydras and clear this in no time flat. Get rid of that mine and get those workers back to their patches, and he's definitely going to have enough time for these queens to gather that energy. He just needs to protect the drones over here at the center left. He actually doesn't have any defense over there. If he had more economy rolling, I think he would have, double sunken at this base by now, but he's walking a very fine line right now, trying to sneak out as much as he can, and he's getting punished by Speed.
Yeah, Speed's doing a pretty good job of. He's kind of like sharp in that regard. He always finds like ways of just getting in there and getting little drips and drops of damage as he goes, and eventually he squeezes enough out to juice out the orange to get himself a nice position, and has managed to find quite a few of these drones of Hero still. I'm feeling pretty good about Hero's position though. Like while he was transitioning into these queens, I think he's got at least like 10 queens there or so. I'm not sure. It's between 8 and 12. I didn't get an exact count on those. Okay, yeah, 10. Okay, there you go. Now he's got brooding energy, so that's basically 10 tanks that could die here as long as the queens don't die before the broodlings connect. And that could be enough of a tempo swing to just bowl Speed over right here, right now. Another continued aggression from Speed, just constantly dropping these vultures, denying mining time and killing drones. Even if you only kill a few drones, as long as you're denying mining time, it's a big damage to the Zerg as well. Taking his production offline temporarily like this is huge. Queen's coming in now. Looks like he wants to maybe get a parasite so they can get vision to come in for the clone wave. But you can't really just come into the Goliaths like this. Like, you kind of have to find the opportunity, because if the queens start dying while the broodlings are flying through the air and before they connect, you just don't even kill the tanks, so it's not worth it.
It's really unfortunate Hero didn't rebuild some Scourge to just deal with an attack like this. He has nothing to defend, and he loses quite a few drones to this secondary drop from Speed. Good on him for being so persistent with this very annoying tactic of just sending in dropships and continuously dropping in different bases. The high grounds are kind of hard to get your hydras up onto the ramp, so putting some mines up there and just kind of slowing things down is amazing for Speed. A lot of money in the bank right now for Hero. He's going to have a little bit of time here to pump out a bunch of hydras, but I think he wants to deny this third base.
Yeah,
I don't think or this fourth base. I don't think you want to allow Terran any more bases in a situation like this. You've got to kind of shut them down onto those 3 base and hope that they're going to mine out before, they just get way too out of control on 3-3.
No, it's kind of ridiculous. It's like you're essentially having to fight against 2 more maxed out Terran 3/3 armies if you let them take any additional bases, for each additional base they take. It just gets to a ridiculous point, the more bases that the mech Terran can secure. So yeah, trying to keep them on 3 is ideal, especially with these low economy bases that these 2nd and 3rd bases are. They would mine out much more quicker than usual, so if he can somehow counter and get this 4th offline for Speed, Speed will be dead in the water and within like a few minutes. So if he probably wants to set up this up, he's going to try and see if he can swing around on the right hand side with these queens and try and get on the back end of these tanks. But it looks like Speed's doing a pretty good job of microing his Goliaths around to kind of stay in a position where he can screen the queens from getting in range of those tanks that are clumped up in that defensive position right now. But it looks like Hero's still sharking for opportunities, just being maybe a little bit conservative. Speed, I think he's still dropping more and more vultures coming into the 9 o'clock base yet again. Just non-stop harassment from Speed all game long, and Hero hasn't been doing a good job of stopping this.
Yeah, he's been a little slow with the Scourge this time. Like he got the catch over top of the bottom left base, the high ground base there, but he hasn't sent Scourge to just go and clear out that dropship that was hanging around the center left and gets more damage. It slows things down even more. This is so annoying to deal with. It's actually infuriating to me, Shun, just to watch these vultures get in over and over and over again, because it is already so impossible to fight a mech army like this, and when you keep losing drones, it feels like nightmare, like a really horrible feeling. What Hero's going through right now. He's trying to get in with some of these queens and get some hits with the Broodling, but Speed is actually pushing him back pretty heavily, and he's almost max coming across the map. There's a drop coming into the high ground base over here. That's going to create a bit of a problem for Speed, but it'll be cleaned up pretty quickly. Here we go. Okay, getting some pretty good Broodlings there, lowering that tank count by quite a lot. There's only 3 remaining. But still, the Goliath number is very high. We have to maintain this very, very big group of Hydras and get rid of these tanks before we ever engage.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's bled off so many units before the engagement finally happens. Maybe he's just barely cleared out enough of the tanks that now these Hydras can start to overcome the Goliaths. It does look like that is the case. So finally able to fight back this 3/3 Terran mech despite bleeding off so much of his Zerg army initially. But yeah, it's kind of a weird thing in this matchup when you're playing against mech where you kind of want to avoid fighting like a Protoss player does and wait for like one decisive engagement where you can just overwhelm them with a pure advantage. But usually it's so hard to achieve that advantage. You need so much surface area, such good execution, and getting all units to move in at the same time and catching the Terrans slightly off balance. It's just so hard to find those moments as the Zerg. It does seem like the onus is on the Zerg to find and finesse their way through this matchup, and it seems like the Terran mech player does have a bit of ease of transit going forward to the winning conditions.
Yeah, just setting up the tanks in the right spot and covering them with the Goliaths. As long as the queens are paying for their broodlings with their lives, it's not going to get enough of a chunk of value from those queens that you can, take a reasonable trade. One thing that's missing from the play of Speed right now is we haven't seen any vessels at all.
Yeah,
and EMP is like
the counter to this.
The big counter to where Hero, he's going to be stacking up all of his... Oh, wow, drop here into the space. It's kind of hilarious. 1 tank, 2 Goliaths. You never see a drop like that, but he's going to try it out right now and maybe do quite a bit of damage. Yeah, the queens are going to be spread and split and cloned onto a bunch of queens, or onto a bunch of tanks, excuse me, and then as they're coming in, they're going to be very stacked. You can drop 1 EMP on all of them. You're going to be in an amazing spot. Ooh, okay, he does get the Broodling on one of these tanks, but it's really tough. The range on the Goliath is huge, and a lot of these queens are just going to die, even if they manage to get those Broodlings off. He gets another one, but we'll have to retreat with these Hydras. Like you said, he has to kill maybe 2 or 3 more maxed out Terran armies, and that's if Terran doesn't get another base.
Yeah,
It's going to be hard.
He's taking 12 and 6 o'clock right now. So, I mean, you can add a few more tallies to the amount of armies he's going to have to kill if he can't somehow knock out these bases. More continued aggression from Speed. There is enough Hydras popping out. Oh, beautiful mine detonations, though, taking up pretty much that entire drone line. A little bit annoying for Hero to have to deal with this right now. He hasn't even saturated 9 o'clock, so like not really a lot of economy coming in for him. I mean, the natural's pretty much mined out. The only reason the third isn't yet mined out is because of how many times he had to pull drones from the continued harassment from Speed this game. Not even currently mining from that is Hero. Trying to see if he can come into his 3 o'clock pocket to punish Speed being out of position, but Speed already hot on his heels right now.
I hate to say it, Shun, but I don't think we're going to see the comeback like we've had a bunch of times already here from Hero. He's getting chased down into this base, and he's full 80 supply down under a 3-3 meching player. You gotta be ahead in supply in a situation like this. I don't see a whole lot of queens around either. Queen number has been reduced severely. More bases are being taken. This one might be shut down, but Speed's going to get 12 o'clock. He's probably going to start taking top right as well. And, I mean, we're very far away from an army that can actually fight, can actually stand up against what Speed has brought to the center.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he could basically try and play Ring Around the Rosie for a little while and try and get away from the Terran army, but eventually he will be pinned down some way, some when. It's just impossible to navigate this as Zerg. There's no, he can try counterattacks and try and get behind the rally point and what have you, but it's usually just impossible to overcome those kinds of odds once it gets that bad. GG finally called from Hero. Kind of crazy. It's going to be Stork versus Speed next. I'm actually kind of excited to see that game, Sam.
Always excited to watch Speed, but Stork has been a real draw lately as well. Yeah, looking forward to this next match. I actually hope that we see Speed go on because I want to see more Speed versus Zerg, showing a very interesting style in that last game. I mean, copying the play right out of Flash's playbook. Pretty cool to see. Let's jump into our next game. And there he is, Stork.
How old is he now?
I was saying that he wasn't that much older than anybody else. He's like 2 years older than most of the other pros. Yeah, they call him the dinosaur, but he's like
yeah, it's all relative.
36.
Right? Yeah, like 2 years
30...
the dinosaur.
Yeah, I mean, even Flash, who was like the baby, in
until
that
TY
era.
That Flash was the baby until TY.
Right.
Yeah.
32.
Yeah.
TY. Let's see what TY is. He's at least 30, right? Yeah, he's 30.
Yeah, no, which is crazy.
Like 2 years younger.
About. Crazy to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, like who? How old's Bisu? He's like 35, 34. Yeah.
I remember when they were
Back
like.
then,
No, do you remember? I remember. I remember when it was 4U was playing. No, 4U was playing. He was the oldest pro gamer at the time, and he was like, I think like 35 or something at the time, and they were all calling him like the granddad of Starcraft.
Well, everybody back then thought that you couldn't play past like 25. Like everybody was gonna like age out of playing StarCraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna try and use the washroom here. I'll be right back.
All right, go for it.
Stomach.
Oh man, I wonder what's gonna happen between Speed and Stork because they've both been kind of interesting to watch lately. I'm kind of happy no matter what happens. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, Dustin, I think they'll both play R2. You might not see Stork as confident as he was the other weeks, but he might put up a really good game against Speed. And Speed, it depends though. If Speed is like crazy aggressive and gets under Stork's skin early, it might not be so good for Stork. Like, you know, one vulture slipping in at the wrong time or whatever.
That's better.
Yeah.
All right.
Yo.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, man, let's go.
결승 무대를 직접 중계도 하기도 했던 송병구 선수.
진짜 송병구 선수 하면은
살아있는
This should be an epic match. Stork versus Speed here on
많은데 88년생인데
Dominator.
경력은 정확.
Wasn't coming to me there for a moment. Sorry guys, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I had some sort of allergic reaction. You might have noticed it in the cast so far. I'm feeling a little bit off, but
Pros play
this has been an this has been a great wake-up call, right? I was feeling a little tired, and then Hero just brought the noise, man. Holy. What an insane series of games from him. Sad to see him go down, but the robustness of that CC first mech play with double armory, I mean, it can't be denied. That was insanely powerful.
Yeah, no, it really was. I'm really happy that we're seeing Stork versus Speed, though. I'm really excited to see exactly where these two stack up against each other right now. Both of them have been on the up and up recently, and want to know exactly where these two players stack up against each other. Just like scouting him first, going to be able to put a little bit of pressure onto this SCV that wants to build the racks closer to the rally point here. Does make it a little bit more annoying to come out and repair that, so... And with the gas steal, oh, just barely getting there, 96 minerals, not quite enough to seize that as Speed. Didn't go for his usual 11 gas this game, so not able to get the gas, preventing the gas steal here against Stork.
Well, the positioning on the barracks is such that going for a gasless fast expand is not the worst thing in the world. He can get the supply depot on the right-hand side, and the CC on the left will create a pretty decent wall to micro against any early aggression. Dude, Stork is being so annoying with this probe. Look at his level right now. This is Bisu level probe control. This is Snow level probe control. This guy can hang with the best of them right now. And yeah, I'm very excited to see him play against Speed, because Speed is that type of guy. He's like a Sharp who can really get in and punish you if you make any mistakes in this matchup. And that's going to put Stork to the test, because he is, on, like you said, on the come up, but I mean, it's a little bit contingent on what's going on in the game. It's not like he's been proven in every sort of game state just yet.
No, and that's the thing. StarCraft is such a crazy game that you can dot a lot of your I's and cross a lot of your T's and still come up short. Like there's the amount of things you have to be good, to be proficient at, to finally get there is pretty crazy. It's the most zero-sum game I think we have. Like the canyons of skill between the high-level players, like it's weird to think about.
Ooh.
But yeah, already coming in here gets one of these Marines with that Zealot. Now putting on pressure onto these SCVs that want to get this CC online. Already getting pretty good damage and pressure initially. Almost getting that Zealot, not quite able to find it. Speed being pretty good at dancing back these Marines, but yeah, 2 SCVs gone down so far, and I think that's pretty significant damage as long as the Zealot doesn't die as well, and now there's 2. I mean, this is already getting a little bit out of control here for Speed.
Speed really messed up in this game. Like the first Zealot, or first Marine, you can't lose that first Marine. And now he's losing even more. He does clean up both the Zealots, which is not too bad. But look at this. Stork is going to throw down a Robo in bottom center, I think. And
I think so.
Do a really fast proxy drop into the main. Everything's been slowed down a little bit here for Speed, so he might not have the presence of mind to check for this or to prepare in time. He might be just thinking he's in for a normal game. Stork is going to get scouted. Another Zealot surprisingly pops out here. I thought that was definitely going to be a goon. Maybe that's going to tip the hand a little bit.
But this scout is huge.
Like, where's all your gas going?
This scout is so huge though because he doesn't see the goon range, right? So now he knows it's going to be like either proxy robo or like DT or something here. He knows it's proxy tech, so it could be DT or robo or something along these lines. So he has an idea now. So at least maybe he can somehow figure out a min-max defense against this and figure out a way of not taking too much damage. But he should be able to glean from how late that range was that this will be some kind of proxy tech right now.
When you see extra Zealots popping out, and he's already gone for 3 Zealots this early, and you didn't see
there's only 2
range.
pylons in the main as well.
2 pylons in the main, yeah. I mean, you're thinking DT right now. That's what I'm thinking anyway. If I'm watching this game and looking at it from Speed's point of view, he's gonna find this. Look at that. He is actually gonna get over here and see it. Speed's so good. He's so good. He's gonna see that, and I mean, he's just gonna bunker it. This is so smart.
Yeah, and this works totally. I mean, like he can, Stork can come out to try and challenge this, but I don't think he gets here in time to shut this down. And he didn't go 2 gates, so there's no way he has enough units to even stop this anyway, as long as they're in position.
Yeah, and with the Robo going down, Speed is going to be light years ahead of Stork. Light years ahead. Just targeting down the pylon is so smart. He's going to counter, but I think that Speed was continuing to make Marines. Yeah, he's still got 2. He's going to run 1 back. Did we get I think something just popped out. He's actually got a shuttle out just barely in time. We didn't see it on screen, but he got a shuttle out at the very last second.
Wow. That's
that
crazy.
It was possible to get that shuttle out. Oh my gosh. Now he can start to do some damage here in the main. This is not optimal at all by any stretch of the imagination, but he's going to get less than 0 damage with this. So I guess it's a win for Stork.
I mean, yeah, this tank needs to be microed well against these 2 Dragoons. I mean, Stork has done a pretty good job of like putting a dent into the economy of Speed now. But it's still really annoying for Stork having to get that Robo taken out for free. It's a little bit of compensation for Stork. It's kind of like I'm kind of making up a little bit for the fact that I got completely caught with my pants down, but it's still not quite a good feeling for Stork, I don't think. It's not quite the damage you're looking for to make up for it completely. It's just a little bit of compensation there.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely not optimal, and we're actually going to have a push now at a Speed. We still don't have range, it seems like. The Dragoons are firing at such a close range. It probably isn't quite done. It's very, very close. We've got 2 gateway production here of Dragoons coming to the front, so I don't think this will necessarily kill. But it's going to force a lot out of Stork. He's not going to have the Nexus down. Like, he's still delayed this 3rd Nexus. He can't throw this down because he has to build all these units. So this push just by the nature of being out here and being a threat, is actually slowing down the Nexus by quite a lot. Going to run forward here, throwing down mines on the right-hand side, but Stork is going to back up pretty efficiently. Diving now onto the tank. He's got more than 4 Dragoons, so he can two-shot these. Kind of missed the two-shot there. Gets the second tank. There's the mines dragging in. They actually clear out quite a few of the Terran units. The Reaver is just stopped here. Uh-oh. Stork is falling apart right now. He throws down the pylon at the last second, so he can actually block out these units for a moment and buy himself some time to actually maybe do some damage with this Reaver. Oh my gosh. Speed is not paying attention. This could be huge damage.
4
Yeah, he
kills
gets
now.
quite a few kills. 4 kills already. Some of this stuff's going to start to come out. He can pick up the Reaver and go into the main. Meanwhile, Siege mode is done. Speed's going to start to hit this. There's a lot of mines here, but he can actually hit the tank. It's in range. Oh, God, that was a really big deal. So much damage on that. 12 kills now. Oh, dude. Stork is getting so many.
Oh my god, 17 kills so far. This is getting really out of hand for Speed. He needs to be very careful. He's almost taking critical damage now. If he loses any more SCVs, this might be too bad to come back from. Has still got the pressure on those vultures running by. Beautiful mine connections on those 2 goons. There's a Reaver that's just popped out and is slugging it over right now. Yeah, Stork has made scarabs on that, so it's not completely defenseless. So the vulture's going to have to wisely retreat and rotate back to the natural expansion and try and keep breaking through, almost taking out the support bay. So no more Reavers will be in production once he takes that out. And he's putting a lot of pressure on. So many SCVs just went down. 30 kills on this Reaver. This is absolutely insane damage. It's almost like snow levels of damage that this Reaver has done. Thousands upon thousands of minerals worth of damage. It's absolutely insane on a single unit.
And he was even slow sending that in. I mean, he had that sitting over here on the left-hand side for quite some time. I think that Speed just didn't even respect the possibility of another Robo being made and him getting back into Reaver after losing his shuttle initially. Looks like this shuttle is eventually, or losing his Robo initially, excuse me. He doesn't drop the Reaver a second time. It was probably going to go down, but he might have been able to get one last shot off. Regardless, that did so much damage. I think Stork may actually have this game in the bag after a failed proxy Robo. I mean, just insanity this week.
Yeah.
Absolute insanity.
Complete wildness. Yeah, I mean, at first I thought it was going to be a bit weird with this Protoss lineup, but yeah, this week has been kind of crazy. Very entertaining, I have to say. Like, not quite the games I wanted, but I'm certainly not disappointed either. Like, it's been certainly entertaining, unexpected, like weird tempo-y games where you think one player's got it and suddenly he doesn't anymore. Like, you never know quite what's going to happen in KCM, it seems.
Yeah, I feel like KCM is going to lose his voice this week. I can hear him screaming in the background every time something crazy happens, but there's already been like 15, 20 crazy moments in this week of KCM, and there's probably going to be more, so
Yeah.
we here kind of saving our voices a little bit, not getting that hyped, but this is a really hyped series. I'm sure that he's very happy about the results so far, and I mean, you just can't expect better when you're organizing a tournament like this. This is exactly what you're looking for. It's just insane excitement. A drop actually going to come in here for Speed. This is a Hail Mary. He has to get some damage. He's like half the supply of Stork. I mean, he has great control with his drops. He's known for getting in and dealing a lot of damage, but the SimCity here is pretty nightmarish. Like, you can't get in there at all to kill any of these probes. You have to go around the other side and try to lay down some mines or something. He's actually just going to back away, I guess. Okay, lots of units coming down here, and this is going to be denied. Yeah, that's rough. Speed, he gets the dropship out at least, so he can, you know, try to deal some more damage with that a little bit later, but that was not the damage that he needed to bring himself back in this game. He needs like insane probe kills and like a long game of getting into the third base and utilizing double upgrades and all that good stuff to make this comeback.
I mean, he's 45 supply behind. He's trying to rely on only 3 factories worth of production at the moment, and it's like nearly 13 minutes into the game. Stork's getting his 4th base online. This is not where you want to be as a Terran player. Like, most Terran players would look at this game state on paper and not want to take the reins here. This is a very losing game state for the Terran. It's almost, I would say, maybe like a 90+% win rate for the Protoss in this game state, regardless of what kind of ranks of players you put in there.
I feel like this may be like an experience issue with Speed, or maybe, you know, he maybe didn't know how long it would take to get a Reaver out. Like, once you kill the Robo, you have a certain number of seconds before another Reaver can actually come. Oh gosh, a dive in here to the natural. I've got to talk about this. He's just going to dive in, hits the Reaver shot here into the back line. All the tanks get splashed. He's going to drop right on top of that and finish off those tanks. And just Dragoons and Zealots wandering in here to the mineral line. Everything blows up. 7 more kills on that Reaver. GG is called. Wow, that was a quick conclusion to a crazy game. Oh. Dude, yeah, I was trying to say, maybe Speed doesn't know the amount of the actual seconds that it takes to make a Robo, make the robotic support bay, a shuttle, and a Reaver.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just wasn't expecting Stork to make another Robo as his initial Robo was dying. He thought he had more time before a Reaver could come out, or that the Reaver would be sent for sure on the defensive. But he just sent that directly across the map, believed in his ability to just keep throwing down buildings in the natural, kept on building pylons and gateways to sandbag the push, and get enough Dragoons out to defend that. Really well played by Stork. So much excitement today, Shun.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like too much to handle, and you don't even know what's going to come next. There's going to be either Action or Jadon going up against Stork. So far, Stork having to carry the torch for the Protoss squad. Maybe he can go all the way and do like some kind of crazy stomp and, you know, somehow get a point on the board here for Protoss, but it's going to be tough.
Oof. Another nutty game.
Yeah. It's PVZ on Minstrel. Like, lock in, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Not my favorite thing to play, but it should be interesting to see how Jadong handles it. Jadon gonna come out here to take on Stork. PVZ on Minstrel once again. Just a wild map, and I'm curious to see how Jadon gonna handle things here.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he's gonna handle the complexity of this map, especially in late game PVZ. 5 lanes to have to worry about, very weird geography to boot. Not the most easiest thing to navigate, and yeah, pretty much you could just die. Just like one mistake of not, like, you know, properly keeping an eye on one of the lanes, and they get on top of your rally point, storm you to death, and now you've got to try and dive in through a tight choke to save your production, and the Protoss just completely annihilates you. Yeah, it's a weird map, very difficult to navigate and hard to play on for Zerg players. For anyone really, but I think especially Zerg in like the mid to late phase, things can just fall apart so easily with a few mistakes.
Some things have been changed about this map in the KCM and SSL version. For instance, there's been eggs added to some of these mineral lines so that you can actually just kill the eggs and create a little bit more unit flow to move your army between the different lanes a little bit easier. But we haven't really seen anybody utilize that, and I still feel that this map is far from being figured out by Zergs. It's still a really tough situation every time we see ZVP on this map.
Yeah, it seems like Zergs are trying to still figure out a way of being a bit more comfortable on this map. It's certainly far from anywhere close to being finished in that process, it seems, because they have been having a rough time of it, especially in those mid to late phases where you've got like 4 bases and you're trying to get online in the super late phase, and the Protoss hit you with powerful timing attacks, which can seem insurmountable if you're caught off guard trying to navigate on this wonky map.
There's nowhere. I think one of the main problems is there's nowhere here, really, where you can fight the Protoss in an area that you can get a good concave if the Protoss army is big enough. The Protoss army will always move through any of these lanes with a front that just can't be concaved. They can hit you. You could take the fight, but they're always going to have opportunities to storm big clumps of units if you take the full engage. It's tough, really tough. You kind of have to sit defensively a lot of the time across bridges and hope that the Protoss comes into your concave in that way. But if you want to fight in a lane, there's just no real option for that. It's all about counterattacks here, I think.
Well, yeah, the way to play this map is counterattacks, but because of the asymmetry of the geography, it makes synchronizing your counterattacks very challenging. Because to actually calculate the exact time it takes to go around or something, it can be very difficult to actually execute that and to make it work well. And I think that's the problem that most people are having is coordinating just the army movement and what have you.
Coordinating the army movement has an extra layer of challenge here because the pathing on this map is so wonky. Getting a army to move from, say, the bottommost lane into the second to bottommost lane is super hard. Everything's getting caught, and I think that's the reason why they added those eggs into that area. But even if you open the eggs and open the path to unit flow, if you've got lurkers in the army and hydras, a lot of them are just going to get stuck. It's so annoying. But let's take a step back from the overarching problems with this map and this matchup and talk about the game a little bit here. We've got Stork with a Nexus first, going up against Jaedong, who I think opened with a hatchery first. Did you see that? Was it spawning pool before hatchery?
Do you know what? We were so on the topic of the minstrel cycle that I actually don't know.
It's a funny name for this map, the minstrel cycle. Yeah, apt name. It's my emotions playing this map are in a similar state, so makes sense.
Yeah.
We've got a Spire coming up here. Jaedong, either way he opened is going to be, min-maxing here with very few lings coming out and getting into his Spire tech, which is very standard in this matchup. It doesn't mean he's going to go for a Mutalisk all-in like we saw out of Hero, especially with no additional gases being added on. It's likely that we'll just see a very standard game, possibility for 5 mutas and just a switch into Hydra, or maybe no mutas at all, and a pure Hydra build with 6 hatch, and just minimum defenses for the air, maybe a couple of pairs of Scourge or something like that. This is all looking very normal and natural, and that actually worries me with the map being so crazy. I'd like to see more aggression out of Zergs on this map, just to try and get it over with.
Well, yeah, also I think if you can maybe be a little bit aggressive and with some fake Hydra busts and what have you, you then could maybe, set up a contain, and that kind of gets rid of the other problems that the map has. If you can kind of, bring the fight to the Protoss with a contain or something, maybe that kind of makes it much more simplified and going into that mid-game phase where you can actually set up a concave and what have you, rather than having to worry about being choked up so much and struggling to coordinate counterattacks later on in the other phases.
No, yeah, that makes sense to me, to just get more aggressive, do something that will help you to mitigate those difficulties. Second Stargate here. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Stork looks at the build and he says, "You're probably gonna muta me," but I don't think that's the case. Jaedong going in with the Scourge. He hasn't spotted this yet, but he's kind of close. Just one sunken colony here. That might actually lead Stork to believe even more that there's a Mutalisk play coming. The sunken's usually reserved for a Mutalisk play. I don't even see the Hydralisk Den yet, so maybe he is going to make Mutas with just a later third gas, but that could be completely countered here by what Stork's doing.
Oh, absolutely. If Jaedong doesn't figure out that it's going to be a double Stargate, he's just going to go into Mutas and might be a little bit blind counted here. And it looks like that is what's going to be transpiring. Even getting some damage with the Zealot split here, while Jaedong's chasing this one down in the main base. Look how much damage the Zealot's doing, denying mining time, and maybe getting like two drone kills here. It's huge.
Yeah, this is a moment when you really want to be droning as Jaedong. You just built a few mutas to counter the Zealots that pushed across the map, and he starts his Hydralisk Den, but he's very far away from having a good number of Hydras to actually counter these Corsairs and keep the Overlords alive. He's going to have to rely on Scourge, Mutalisk Control to keep a check on Stork, who's about to, I think, push out on the map with a scary number of Corsairs. Okay, sees the Stargate in the natural. He hasn't seen the Stargate in the main, but he might assume that there's two Stargates now, and he sees the number. I think he's completely aware of it at this point. What is he popping out of these eggs? Is it going to be pure Hydra, or is he going to pop out a huge amount of Scourge and try to, do a surround play with them?
Yeah, it's hard to say really, because he runs the risk. If he commits into Scourge, you could just die straight up. If they just like gun down your Scourge with the Corsairs, the game's just over. So it's like it's hard to really figure out that. Like you kind of like have to put all your eggs into one basket usually. So you either go like pure Scourge or pure Hydra. You don't want to like kind of dibble and dabble. I don't know what he's gonna pick. I think maybe Hydra's is probably better in this situation, but it's like Jaedong's going for pure Scourge. Does a pretty good surround on those Corsairs, but 5 are still remaining after all this is said and done, and there's only a few handful of mutas left over, which are going to be picked off very quickly by those upgraded neutron flares. And now the Overlord's going to start dying in short order as well without any ground infantry. Some of the drones are going to start going down to these Zealots as well on top of that, so he might even start supply blocking Jaedong if he's not careful. Just needs one more Overlord kill, and then you can finally start to cut the production of the Zerg player coming into the main base to see if he can do just that.
3 Overlords here are going to get under threat. Just 5 Corsairs. 2 Scourge are going to be chasing that. They have armor, so you can't quickly shoot these down. Oh, the Overlord's a little bit out of position. This DT may be able to slip by. It can get over here towards the ramp, but Overlords here were not picked off, and he only gets 1 kill. Jaedong handled this remarkably well, considering what a rough situation that was. The drone control is fantastic, keeping the Zealots off of the sunken colony at the cost of, some drones. I think it was completely worth it. He did get into Hydras after pumping out a lot of Scourge, and he manages to not get supply blocked during all that, which is insane to me. You basically always get supply blocked in a situation
almost
like
always. It's very weird that he didn't actually. I would have to say, like he's pretty much navigated through this turbulence with a lot of grace. Like pretty much every Zerg would probably go down to a situation where they were just not able to produce anything for a while. And, oh shit, I've got to make some Overlords now, and it's like gets frustrating. And somehow he didn't manage to get into that situation. Did a very good job of like. Maybe splitting up his Overlords enough to keep them from being hard to find. I don't know exactly what went on there, but somehow managed to avoid any supply blocks and mitigate a lot of potential disasters there. Stork did not find quite the levels of damage he wanted to with that attack. He put a lot of gas investment into these Corsairs.
Absolutely, it's really slowing down his Templar play, and he's keeping the pressure on with Zealots running around right now as he's taking this third base. But it's not going to be long before Jaedong has, 3, 4 groups of Hydras to start walking down all of these lanes. And with the tightness of the lane, I mean, if your Hydras start walking through one of these lanes, it's not like you're going to be able to hide Zealots somewhere in the lane. They're definitely going to be picked up and killed off. Yeah, he's going to find some here in the middle. I'm going to bring all these Hydralisks together. That's a lot of Zealots. It's actually not enough Hydras to take this fight just yet. He's going to have to bring them all together here to take this, but I mean, just tracking these down and pushing them back is pretty good for Jaedong. I think you need to run right now, Stork.
Yeah,
he's going to try and take this fight. This is not a very good fight, and we might actually see a counterattack after this one. if Jadong clears out all of these Zealots, yeah, look at that. Only 4 managed to run away. This is rough for Stork. He really needs to start transferring Templar over to that third base. Otherwise, he might just get overwhelmed. Yeah, he doesn't have any Templar over here. Just 4 cannons.
Yeah,
and all the Templar in the natural. This is a little bit rough.
Yeah, Stork really overestimated how strong his 1-1 Zealots would be in that stage. Like, there was just way too much critical mass of Hydras already stacked up. And that's not even assuming that they might micro a little bit there and make it even harder for them to clamp down onto them. So, bit of a weird decision from him to commit to that. It now thins out his infantry force enough that he now has to be completely defensive. There'll be no more map presence for Stork for the time being. Even having to kind of chill back with these Corsairs because they're in lower count here. He can't afford to replace them, so if any of them die, he's in trouble right now.
Oh boy, Jadong just pounding out drones down to that bottom left base. I just saw, at least 20 drones get sent down to that area, and he's going to be sitting here on a pretty 4-base economy with a bunch of extra hatcheries finishing up. His macro is going to be insane. I haven't seen a Queen's Nest just yet, but he can slam out so many Hydras, and there's such a lack of infantry here for Stork. I don't know if he'll be able to put pressure on anywhere, and Jadong may even be able to counterattack that third base.
Well, Jadong,
if he's
Jadong has to remain active, though. Like, the onus is still on Jadong to keep the pressure onto Stork. He has to keep doing this, coming in the back, sniping these High Templars, pick off 1 Dragoon, then back out again. Keep doing that over and over again before the fight actually happens. Because then the infantry won't have enough potency once it finally gets to his production, which is what we don't see sometimes. Sometimes the Protoss Army gets in position way too for free, and then it goes wrong. But Jadong's not doing a pretty good job of sniping off pretty much all of the High Templars here, I think. And only of Dragoons pretty much remaining. With the Lurkers, the Zealots are mostly negated, so needs a lot of Dragoons to punch a hole through here. There's not a lot of infantry on this northern flank for Jadong, but there is a couple of Lurkers he can shuffle down to burrow here, but I think he'll just wait to get us around from the southern threshold. There's not a lot of infantry left for Stork. This should be all cleaned up now. This is a big overextension from Stork, but I still can't fault him for attempting it.
Yeah, he really wanted to just come in here with this timing attack and deal a lot of damage, but man, the economy, the macro of Jadong is on point today. You can see how many Lurkers he's managed to spam out here in the front, how many Hydras are coming out. We're starting to see Lings added on as well. We should have a Hive on the way at this point with 4 gases. You can definitely afford that, and I mean, this was never going to work. That's just way too many units from Jadong.
Yeah.
He needed to be a little bit more tactical with his play. I know that Bisu would say you need to, or Snow would say you need to trade Storm energy for units at a point in the game like this. You need to come forward, trade out some units, back away, keep that Dragoon number high, so that you can push through these higher Lurker numbers a little bit later. And he's just lost a ton of those Dragoons. He's going to take a 4th base, and I don't know if Jadong's in position to actually assault that, but I mean, he is going to get into Hive here really soon, and we're going to see a Jadong like the Jadong of old, the sort of Sauron Zerg Jadong that we love to see.
Yeah, pure Tyrant Zerg mode. And I have to say, I was thinking the same thing earlier. Like, this does seem to be like Jadong with a bit more finesse and control over the game right now. And he's done a great job of playing keep away with these High Templars. And look how active he's being all game long with these Hydras, hunting down these High Templars. Exactly what he needs to do. This is like Zerg versus Protoss 101. Like, there's nothing the Protoss player can do if most of your High Templars are dead by the time that you start to fight his army. And Jadong's got such a powerful economy that he's okay to throw away a few pockets of Hydras and Lings to keep the Protoss at bay. Is going to be trying to come up to this natural expansion at the 3rd base location for Stork. He won't be able to try and commit to an attack on that, but he can come in behind the army and threaten the rally point and kill probe transfers like this, which is brilliant damage without really committing too many units here.
Yeah, very low commitment attack there from Jadong. Not a lot of units being sent in here. He's just controlling these small pockets of Hydras, grabbing what he can and bailing out. Little raiding parties all over the map, dealing that little damage. And Stork, although he got 4 bases online really quick, doesn't have probes at that base in top right, so he's not really mining off of 4 bases just yet. Needs to remake some probes here and get that base online, whereas, I mean, even though Jaedong's on even bases at the moment, he's getting another online, and he's transferring into this hive with a really strong economy and strong drone count. He's completely fine here to be on the even number of bases with Protoss for a little bit.
Especially
if I'm
with the high
Stork,
saturation.
True. I think I would be considering a transition into Reaver at this point, because I don't think we're going to be able to bowl over Jaedong anytime soon.
Yeah, I wouldn't fault that at all. I mean, you need to find ways of navigating this mid to late phase, because it can get a little bit awkward from here. It will be very easy for Stork to be frustrating for Jaedong and come in and try and lay siege to some of these expansions, which are way harder to defend. Like these first 4 bases that Jaedong has taken are way easier to defend than anything else that's out on the map. Everything else is like escalated in risk factor by like magnitudes of 10.
Oh, I really don't want to see Stork commit here. I like the coming forward and storming a bunch of these units, but he really should not commit to breaking the natural right now. The Dark Swarm is slowing him down, and he's grinding out all of his zealots. This is a mostly Dragoon army. We're almost out of zealots here. I think the last one just went down.
Yeah.
We've got 1 Archon and a huge amount of Templar, a huge amount of Dragoons. You cannot be losing this army. This is such a high-value army we're seeing right now at a Stork. Jaedong is moving around the side. He actually can't flank that army too easily. If there was an easy way to flank this, I think that Stork would just be screwed. Instead, it's going to be a big attack over here towards the natural. He's going to bring up a ton of lurkers here and start to break through this. If we've only got 2 cannons in the natural, he could possibly attack into the main here.
Yeah, and look at this. He baited the zealots into like a massive like lurker burrow. So now that most of those reinforcements have already softened up. The only thing really there that's got any meat is the 2 High Templars with their Sonic Storms, which are laying down their leverage now and getting pretty good damage. But this is a big issue for Stork. Now he has to keep his army back. He's going to be much more pinned down to securing his rally point, and that will give a lot more oxygen to Jaedong to re-solidify his position with this 6 o'clock expansion coming online. Start sending in stream of lings here and there just to keep the army pinned down while he gets more and more production going, because he knows that if he can keep the pressure on Stork, eventually he'll whittle this army down to a nub, and with enough value out of the plagued and cracklings, he will whittle this Protoss force down slowly but surely.
Even on supply, Jaedong is just rallying masses of units forward. It's up to Stork to take a base at 12 o'clock at the same time. Oh, that's really interesting. He's keeping DTs up there to try and hold that attack. There are some overlords in position to block this, but DTs can take out a lot of lings. If you're just going to send small ling counterattacks to try and shut down this base, it's not going to go too well for you. He actually brings up some Hydras as well, and even this small amount of units is actually going to be able to deny the 5th base here from Stork. It's not the end of the world. A 5th base is not quite necessary just yet. It would be nice to have it finished and defended already, but just sitting here on four bases, I think Stork can make a couple more maxed out armies and try to push down into this bottom center. Well, the bottom center is such a small lane. If you get your entire force together and try to shove through here, it's going to be really hard for Jaedong to defend against that.
Yeah, but the one thing that Stork has to contend with is his main and natural are just now drying up, whereas because Zerg are much lower saturation and his minerals smoothed out a bit more, relatively speaking, Jaedong's just slightly got a little bit more than he should have relative to what Stork has right now, even though it looks like they've got pretty 5 to 4 bases like they should have. So there's a little bit of a dry spell for Stork where he's not able to break that gap in the supply lead at the moment. So still relatively even on supply, only ahead by 5 or 10 or something, and just constant plagues coming out of Jaedong. And Stork's trying to do what he can with these constant storm skirmishing, but he hasn't got a massive standing army really, so he keeps bleeding off small pockets of tech units here and there. So it's keeping the scales of power relatively favorable to Jaedong in this situation.
This is an interesting base that Stork is trying to take over here, the one that faces up towards the top lane. Whereas Jaedong, he's covering that area. He's taking another base over the kind of rough third base, the middle of the map third base that you can take. He's taking that as like his 6th. And just setting up bases all around the map and defending with Defiler, it makes it so hard for the Protoss to push it anywhere. I think we really do need a transition into the Reaver at this point.
Yeah.
Or he's with the mostly Dragoon army, Dragoon, Zealot, High Templar, Archon. Like, you're not going to make a whole lot of progress against Jaedong's play. And yeah, the Plagues are getting so much value. It's kind of crazy. He's actually wedging himself into a position where we might see a flank out of Jaedong. It's still pretty tough to get around this army, but you could go through the middle of the map and get to the back of this and set up a bunch of lurkers and try to crush this force, especially once it's been plagued. It's going to be much, much easier to whittle that down and destroy it eventually.
Yeah, I mean, until you get super late game upgrades with 333, you're just like like a paper tiger once you get played, because you haven't got any shield upgrades to really like protect you once you get played. Like, your army will just get melted so quickly, it's ridiculous, especially with cracklings and lurkers and what have you going to town. Pretty good at counterattack here from Stork, denying some of the gas mining in the bottom left and killing some drones, but I don't think he's going to be able to kill the hatchery there, unfortunately. This game is kind of wild. Like,
8 kills on this lurker, Shun.
yeah,
That lurker got a huge transfer of probes, it looks like.
I'm really impressed with Jaedong's play in this game.
Yeah, he's been keeping up really, really well with the supply of the Protoss player and mitigating some of the issues of this map by getting into that Defiler and doing so on 4 bases. It's really past the 4 base mark when things get really complicated, tough for the Zerg player. Holding any of these bases with the minerals facing the outside. Oh my god, this massive drop.
I think this might be a fake Doom drop to bring the army back into the main base. I think he's only got low committal units here. This will only be like some lurkers and defilers. Well, maybe he's got quite a few. Okay, there's quite a few units in here. Way more than I thought. I thought it was just going to be like a low commitment here just to kind of keep the army back. But actually, he did commit a decent amount to this. But the DT counter drop coming into the main base could be disastrous if he doesn't do something about that quickly, because he can lose this Spire on the left, but it looks like the Lurker was enough DPS to kill most of those DTs, so he shouldn't lose too many critical tech buildings here. Meanwhile, Jaedong doing a pretty good job of being annoying and keeping Stork completely busy back in his main base, while now the army comes out. Basically, that is what he's doing. He just committed way more units to it than I thought he would, and now that the army's way back in the main base, he can just come in and start hitting these expansions with Defiler hit squads, and this should be all she wrote here for Stork if he can't like figure this out quickly, because Jaedong's going to start hitting all of these expansions in quick succession.
Yeah, multitasking on another level here for Jaedong. He's hitting everything at the same time. Plague on a bunch of these lings, kind of hilarious. Those are all going to be brought down to 1 HP, but worth it, I guess, to get rid of that 1 DT that was, raining hell down on those bases, killing off tons of drones. Some DTs coming out here to help clear this, but cracklings snagging up some of these Templar kills are amazing. Yeah, even getting this around on that. Dude, Jaedong's playing on another level right now, getting the max value out of even these small hit squads of lings. Funny to see cannons built out in front of the natural there for Stork, but I guess it's useful when they keep sending units over to that location to try and harass that area. Might as well have a few extra cannons in that spot to try and keep his rallies alive here. Another Archon going to be made. We still don't have Reavers here for Stork, and he's struggling to hold another base without them. Yeah,
honestly, I feel like the Reavers are like the tactical siege units that he needs to like really put himself into a better position here. It's the one thing that's missing from this, the utility of this army, and it's forcing him to have to commit to fights much more heavily rather than just like take a point defensive positioning and being able to get damage under the swarms still easily without having to use storms. So yeah, I don't know. Like, this is pretty weird for Stork.
You know what it feels like to me, Shun, a little bit, is like when Zerg players won't build queens against mech. Because they're negating one of the best tools that they have to get cost efficient against their opponent's armies.
Right.
And hold on to bases, right? Like, if you don't have tanks and you've got a bunch of queens to get a bunch of queens to kill the tanks, and you've got some sunken colonies to hold the Goliaths, it makes it so hard for anything to break. Just like putting down a couple of Reavers at a base. It makes it so hard to get through, even with the Dark Swarm and Lurkers and Lings. Stork really negating or deciding not to build that unit. Maybe his downfall in this game is trying now desperately to get that 6th base online, or 5th base online, excuse me, as the as the 3rd mines out. The 4th is getting low as well. Another drop into the main, nothing here to defend. We're going to lose all the production, it seems. Stork just does not have anything back at home, and this actually could be a very tactical killing blow here for Jaedong after all the massing and macro that he's done to just pick off all the gateways. There goes a shuttle. I don't know if that was filled with anything, but it probably had at least a DT or something in it, maybe some Templar. Yikes.
Yeah.
I think this is going to end with
This is death by 10,000 claw marks from these cracklings in the course of this game, just slowly whittling Stork down to a skeleton here. The dinosaur not looking quite as fierce on this showing, at least, and Jaedong seems to be like pretty much firing on all cylinders today. Like way more consistent, respectable play from him, trying to see if he can get these lurkers to be annoying and snipe up more of these probes, but just going to be retreating them for now. But yeah, the getting on top of this production like this, taking all these gateways, pretty much like siphons off any power that Stork might have been able to muster. And now going to be relying purely on these better late than never Reavers, but really needed these earlier on.
Yeah, it feels like Stork's going to go out with a whimper rather than a boom or a bang. He doesn't have any production left. He's now 40 supply behind, and Jaedong just has the production. He's got the units. He's going to be able to push through. I don't care how many storms you have, how many cannons you have. Eventually, we're going to get on top of this stuff with Dark Swarm and push through for the win. That 5th base is necessary. We have to have this in order to win this game. There's no world where Stork still manages to win if he loses his base. So he's going to throw everything over here. He's going to bring the Reaver up as well eventually to try and help this out. But you're right, it's too little too late. Archons are standing strong, but the cannons are starting to fall, and the Reaver being brought forward here is just not going to have the DPS to save this, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, Archons are okay, but under Dark Swarm, they're only doing splash damage. Then they're not really like potent enough here. You need lots of Reavers and those kinds of siege units to get the cost efficiency trades. But yeah, unfortunately going to be going out of a whimper, it looks like. Stork just hanging on by a thread now as Jaedong streamlines more and more of Sauron-esque Zerg-like units forward onto this battlefield. It looks like I don't think like there's any way that Stork could win this game unless Jaedong was making more mistakes. But it seems like because Jaedong's been quite on the ball and like not really like failed to dot any I's or cross any T's this game, there's just never been an opening for Stork to really like, you know, change the balance of power, and he's slowly just going out of a whimper here.
We've got a few more lurkers underneath this Dark Swarm. The last of the Archons are about to fall. The final hold of Protoss. 2 shuttles here with nothing inside. GG is called. Stork taps out. A beautiful game here from Jaedong to take out this final Protoss player.
Hang on, I need to grab a drink.
Okay. They're walking back now. They said like 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know if they went all the way to the castle or not. So maybe they just walked around a bit. Hmm? No, they said they're just gonna walk back. They're not far. Pretty soon. Much longer. Right. Okay. Strong. Hello.
Alright, man, I'm back.
All right.
Let's get it.
왜 종최 안 하나요?라고 하시는 분이 계실 거예요. 야, 이거 보세요. 최근 한 달 통합 경기 제가 이 말씀.
Well, with Protoss being removed from the board, albeit a little later than expected, I think Stork put up a pretty decent fight there. Backco putting out a pretty reasonable game as well. Now we're down to just Terran and Zerg Light versus Jadong here on Radeon. Should be a real challenge for Jadong, taking out Light on such a standard map here.
Yeah. And Light isn't like the typical Terran when it comes to this matchup as well. Tends to cut a lot of SCVs to hit certain timing windows and have certain critical mass units that other players wouldn't be able to, ascertain with their continued SCV production. So can be a little bit too much to handle for some Zerg players. Light does seem to have his own little style, so can be kind of tricky to navigate when you're playing against him. He will catch you off guard by having more Marines than usual at a certain phase of the game and just hit you with this like little 5-second window just before your lurkers are hatching or what have you, and then you find yourself in a game-ending situation just because you're not quite ready for it.
This is something I wanted to talk about with regard to Terran versus Zerg and the really recent prominence that we've seen +1, like really fast +1 reach in this matchup.
Yeah.
+1 4-rack seems to just have this new level of popularity on standard maps I haven't really seen before.
Right.
Aside from like, two racks pressure, that was like almost ubiquitous in every game for a certain amount of time. About 2-3 years ago, it was like every single game was that 2 racks versus 2 hatch meta.
Right.
But I think we're seeing a similar rise in the like 1 racks FE into really fast +1, and I'm actually not convinced that it's because of the +1 attack. I actually think it's because of the +1 armor and the timing it gives you,
Right.
with a huge amount of bio to break through the lurkers, like you were saying. Just as you have, bare minimum number of lurkers, you got like 3 or 4 lurkers at a third base, and you're barely hanging on with a couple of sunkens or whatever. Usually players these days are taking those low ground bases, other naturals as their third. Right in that moment, having the +1 armor and the +1 attack, it allows you to bust positions that you otherwise wouldn't be able to, and get wins, or at least big advantages out of situations like that other builds just don't allow.
Yeah, absolutely, saying it's a very astute observation. Basically what we should try and find a way of reinforcing more in this matchup. 'Cause it does seem to be like especially with the popularity of the 4-racks, it does allow you to come out onto the map and get more map presence against the early Mutalisk play as well. So it kind of guarantees you some kind of aggression to put on pressure. And if you have got those earlier upgrades, it does kind of give you these new bust potentials that you just didn't have in the previous days. You were kind of sat around waiting for like 2-1 to finish later on. Whereas having the earlier 1-1 does give you, with the requiring 3 subterranean spine shots to kill a Marine instead of 2 from the lurkers, it just makes it so much harder for the battle calculations. And you can just, you know, run in there, snipe 1 lurker, and then do a little bit of micro, split up your Marines a little bit, and suddenly you're busting through and killing the Zerg. And yeah, I mean, I think I really do like this style from Terran players, and I have been recommending a lot to my Terran friends to play this kind of style more. I feel like it gives you the most flexibility, personally.
Yeah, it's a little flimsy at first, and some players, you know, they struggled to make it work against more aggressive Zerg, Mutalisk Micro and stuff, right? You don't have the fastest stim, which means you don't have the fastest range, which gives a little bit of vulnerability in the early mid game. But I think that Terran has worked out a lot of those kinks. They seem to be very robust with that type of play now. It's not actually what we're getting here from Light, so kind of negating my earlier talking points there. And we're just going to have pretty normal 2 racks play, getting the eBay at the normal time here in order to block with turrets, the incoming mutas that are going to be on the way here soon. Light can't find any damage just yet, but he's moving over towards the top right, potentially to snipe this hatchery. Let's see if Jaedong can hold on to this, because his mutas are on the way right now, and they're about 30 seconds away from getting onto the field and potentially stopping this attack.
He's trying to force stims here because there's only 1 medic, and that might give him a way of fighting this if the units are overstimmed and the medic's not able to top them all up. But I don't think he's going to be able to save this, you know. I think with the fire bat here, I think it's too much, and the mutas are too slow. He's going to cancel, yeah. Bit unfortunate for Jaedong, but the additional mutas coming from the main hatchery would never get there in time.
So he should be able to clear this. This is kind of sacrificial. He just stimmed again. So if we just wait another 10-15 seconds before going in, the stim runs out, and these Marines are all going to be very low. Another stim. He really just needs to wait a little bit longer. I don't like him like diving in right now. He really wants to get his hatchery up.
Yeah.
That's the reason why he's diving in right now. But I mean, you could just basically let the Terran finish themselves off by stimming this much with only 1 medic and no energy. Eventually, they're going to reach such a low point in their health. It's almost like they've been plagued. You can come in and just kill them all.
I think I
won't even be able to stim anymore.
I think I want to see more patience from Jaedong. I understand getting the hatchery up a few seconds earlier, like, it's great, but I feel that's like speeding or to like get to work. Like, you're going to arrive a few seconds earlier, but you might get in a lot of trouble to do so. And I feel like taking too much damage on your mutaflock like that, now you don't have enough potency to come in here and start opening up like this position by killing a turret or 2. Now he doesn't have. Now he has to wait even longer to get his mutaflock up to full stack, and now he can't put on as much pressure.
Right, he took some damage. He lost the muta. Kind of unnecessary losses there in our estimation, I suppose. But Jaedong gonna get over here now and looking for opportunities to maybe snipe a couple of SCVs. 1, 2 is not really anything for Light. He's done a good job macroing so far, so he should be already past that 35 SCV count. Around the moment when he generally tends to cut SCVs, so yeah, he's going to be okay. You need to get at least like 5-6 SCVs to make things worth it, and even more in this situation when you've lost your 3rd hatchery. And it's a good percentage, you know. That's like a 50% loss in your overall production capability, and you're not getting that gas. It's a pretty rough loss.
Yeah, honestly, he would need like 10 or more to like make up for how like bad this 3rd base going down is. Like 6 is like when everything's going gravy for you and you're on curve. So with how late this 3rd is, yeah, unfortunately, like I don't think he's going to find the kind of damage to compensate for that. But he could still make a game of it, and he could do a pretty good job of picking up some of these units, forcing more and more stims. Light's pretty good with his bio control, like keeping the Marines in like a square formation to make it harder for the Mutas to come in here and get damage for free. But look at this beautiful Muta smoker from Jedi, making very short work of that bio force. Now going to coming in and cleaning up the remainder of those medics as well. Getting the 4 medic kills afterwards is very valuable as well. It's one thing killing all the Marines, but making sure you kill the medics as well is very, very powerful move here. Very big tempo swing. Takes a long time for the Terran to get a critical mass of units to come out onto the map again now, and gives a lot more oxygen for Jaedong. But the Firebat runs into the third base if he's not paying attention. The Firebat's actually on 12 HP right now. You can actually just kill that with the drones if you pay attention.
Yeah, sometimes you're not even going to click on that and run away with the drones when you could just kill it.
Yeah.
That happens more often than you might expect. Zerg players rarely ever click that and check. They're just like, oh, Firebat, I have to run. But I've seen, you know, a bunch of drones running away from a 5 HP Firebat's literally one hit away. But
Yeah.
you know, you might end up losing a bunch of those drones and or just denying that mining time.
Right.
Simply the presence that the Firebat has when it's at that front line. Now, Light is getting some tanks out. It's a good move because we did switch into Lurker pretty quickly. The transition was very fast here from Jaedong, and he was hoping to contain Light a little bit. But with 3 tanks out already, that containment is a pipe dream. You really can't hold this position for too long. Those tanks are going to be hitting from range. He does get 1 tank, which is actually a huge deal.
Yeah.
Slowing down this push out by quite a lot, and he's finding more damage with the Mutas. Ooh, dude, he's not pulling out. There we go. Okay.
Ooh,
Lot of
almost said
damage
unwanted
there.
pregnancy
A
there.
lot of damage. Yeah. Pretty painful stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. Unwanted pregnancy. You have to elaborate. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Anyway, here comes the Scourge as well. Does get a connection on the side vessel, goes down, but it's very low in the Mutaflux. So now if some good splitting of the Marines can start to kill off these lurkers one at a time and bust open the position for Jaedong. And there's not a lot of defenses back at home. Maybe the Defiler's out, but I don't know. Maybe there's a window for Light here to come in and do something, but I still think it's going to be challenging. Ooh.
It's not as bad of a situation as what we saw from Hero.
Yeah.
However, like the base was not killed. Instead, it was denied, and it came up pretty quickly after. So the economic situation is not as bad, but the strategic situation, I think, is worse because Jaedong is in a position where Light is going to be able to alternate between these 2 bases. He's not contained. He's got tanks. Royal in their game versus Hero didn't have the ability to get out and block Defilers from coming across the map, but Light can, and he's going to continue to increase the number of vessels here. It's not going to be an all-in play from Jaedong. Instead, he's going to try to sit back from this position and play from behind, try to get himself into late game forward base with Ultralisk. It's not going to be the same game we saw versus Hero.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes you get yourself in these positions as Zerg where you just have to play from behind and just swallow it. I mean, it is what it is. It's especially the case against Protoss as Zerg. You just have to play from behind like you would normally and just, hope for the best. General's going to make a good effort of it, though. He has got barely enough supply to survive, around the sort of, 68, 70 mark. You've just barely got enough Defilers and Lurkers to technically be immortal. The problem is that Terran players can sometimes get a good tempo swing, running with a round of Firebats or what have you, underneath some Dark Swarms and taking out your Lurkers that used to be invulnerable. So there are some ways that Terrans can still kill you, even if you are on 70 supply, but... the Overlord spots the dropships as well. So if he's paying attention, he knows about these dropships. Maybe Jaedong can catch these.
Yeah, this is the scariest thing when you're in a difficult situation like this. When you're barely holding on to your fronts is when dropships start flying in and hitting your mains and your naturals and your 3rd base and 4th base and drawing your attention every which way. Light is just going to drop on this high ground, prevent the 4th for as long as he can. I think this is a reasonable move considering that everything was spotted. Oh, but he loses a science vessel. That was actually a very good snipe. Jaedong going to drop a Dark Storm here at the front. Oh, the Nidus is that close to the wall, hey? Okay, he could actually snipe that potentially. A good plague and some lings come up to help to defend that position. Oh, he can't reach. He can't quite reach. That was a really well thought out position for the Nidus here for Jaedong.
Yeah.
Just barely out of range there. A good idea from Jaedong.
There
Or
might
from
be
Light,
like one
but,
or two pockets where the Marine can barely get into range by squeezing up against the terrain, but I don't think many can shoot it.
We've seen it before with Zerg players putting that Nidus up against the wall and hitting it from high ground. So glad to see Jaedong making those small changes, those little tiny adjustments that make all the difference in the world. Lurkers here at the front are unburrowed. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but at the same time, a drop here into the main is actually going to deal a lot of damage, picking off quite a few of these drones here with the fire bats. Just above the screenshot here. Oh, wow. A lot of drones just went down there. And Jaedong is limping here with just a few lings popping out and a couple of lurkers coming forward to try and help clean this up. We're not even microing right now as Light. We're still dealing quite a bit of damage. Ultras are starting to pop, but this is a 3-base Ultra player. There's no drones at the natural either. What happened over here? Okay, they all got transferred. Not sure what's going on with that, but a lot of drones get transferred to the main, I guess in preparation for this drop.
Yeah.
Ultras are finally out. They can clean, but how efficiently can they clean this Marines behind mineral patches?
I mean, it's still going to be really annoying. Like, even if you are cleaning it up, it doesn't feel good as even if you are cleaning up. Killing these tanks is huge, though. Those tanks dying for free is a pretty big deal. That's a bit of a mistake. Light distracted with this constant aggression. Maybe there's a little bit of a window for Jaedong to just start smashing him once he gets this full gas online in this top right.
Oh, we're seeing some slop here from Light right now. He was playing so well, and now he's like kind of falling apart. Oh, he gets another kill. Darkstorm should come down on this drone line. He absolutely needs. He's gonna have to consume an egg. He goes ahead and throws that down. Ultra's gonna come forward. You can't really push with drops anymore once Ultras are out, especially with 4 armor.
Yeah.
Everything that pops out of drop ships, 2 drops or 4 drops, is going to easily be cleared by 2 to 4 Ultras, and he's losing his shuttle or his drop ships and his science vessels. So, oh wow, the Nidus was actually killed, so that's pretty big. I don't see another Nidus on the way. That could be a problem here as Light pushes up towards the top right once again.
Yeah, he lost the Nidus and he lost the Ultra Cavern. He's only remaking the Ultra Cavern right now. There's no way of getting units to and from these bases, so if there's a mistake in positioning, like Jaedong could just be in a world of hurt, but he's doing such a good job of catching all these dropships out on the map with these packs of Scourge. Like science vessels and dropships have been dying left and right in this game. Another science vessel coming in, getting good irradiate on this Defiler. Without the Nidus setup, if he makes a mistake of how he balances his units, and there's just he's like if he doesn't remake a Defiler on the right hand side, and there's just nothing to Dark Swarm, and there's no Nidus, he just dies. So yeah, he needs to get this Nidus up and running really soon, because otherwise he's going to be well out of position against Light's timing attacks.
Jaedong is doing everything he needs to do to find a way back into this game.
Yeah,
and I would say he is fully in it now. 120 supply to 108. That's totally playable with the 4th gas. Yeah. We're getting kind of late. It's 17 minutes now, but we've got a few minutes here for gas economy to work with. With this many Ultras popping out and the aggression going to swing back on the Light side of the map, maybe we can win this game. I think a 5th base will start to get thrown down here soon by Jaedong. He probably take like double expansion, one on the left, one on the right, and just try to see what sticks.
Right.
Meanwhile, some little counterattacks going all over the map. Light has a pretty decent supply that he's moving, but not enough to hold down both the natural in the top left and the top right. He can't control both those areas at the same time, so he's going to have to rotate back and forth, which opens up opportunities for maybe Jaedong to come in and to stop that. He's got a lot of Scourge here. This is really important. You don't want to allow these vessels to fly in and just start irradiating everything. So he picks off a vessel. He gets a nice plague. Things are looking pretty good here for Jaedong. He's doing everything he needs to do, like I said. He will lose this Defiler. Unfortunately, not going to get a kill back onto those vessels, but he's managed to save some of his ultras from these irradiates, and there are openings right now that pathways that to light space that Jaedong could potentially take advantage of.
Yeah, I'm curious if what Light's follow-up is going to be. Is he going to stay pure SK, or are we going to see like a little BC switch here and try and like put some pressure on with those? I mean, this is a pretty big map, so BC's not quite as good here, but still can get some value against this style from Jaedong. Yeah, I don't know. Like, so far, Jaedong's done a pretty good job of always getting this Defiler caught out. It's really unfortunate. Does manage to get the Dark Swarm down, but it doesn't really matter. Like, once a Defiler, it's unfortunate. If you could get this Defiler over to one of these bases, it can be disastrous here for Light. He's finally starting to come out onto the map and exploit these open lanes, these vectors of attack onto Light. There is a couple of bunkers here and some rallied reinforcement units, but the whole army's got to turn around for Light to come in and defend this, because there's a lot of committed units here. I think Jaedong's going to pull out, though. Light's already intercepting him, getting a lot of radiates onto all these Ultralisks. I don't think there's enough meat to Jaedong's army to fight Light head-on right now, but I think also it's going to be very difficult for Light to secure a 5th, maybe.
Base shut down on the right. It's going to be remade. Base on the left here for Jaedong is going to try to come up. At the same time, he's running around with these ultras looking for damage. You know, the really punishing thing that Light got, the punish on that attack, was all the ultras getting irradiated as they were running away from that bottom left base. This is not enough Marines, though. This is too many Ultras. Even with the +3,
this is a big mistake.
He just doesn't have the bulk.
He's moving out onto the map before his reinforcements even like join up with the army. Like, you need to have a massive clump of bio to fight these Ultralisks. Like, you can't just let them like surround your small pockets like this. You need to really build up a massive brick of infantry so you can just move like one of them down at a time.
I guess that answers your question, Shun. We are going to have battle cruisers on the way here soon. On this map, the gases are really punishable for the 5th and 6th base.
Yeah.
You can see they're right up against this wall with high ground. So you can send the battle cruisers over here and potentially deny these gases for a long time. We're past the 20-minute mark, 21-minute mark. So natural and main are going to be completely mined out. Losing a few of these vessels, but trading back a bunch of irradiates on these ultras. I think this is actually a worthwhile trade for Light, but he needs to get over here and punish this base. Allowing more gases up from Jaedong is a death sentence. He's got to get in here and do something about this here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, the BC's answer like one half of the question, but the other side of the map still needs to be dealt with. The BCs will maybe deny a little bit of mining on this natural third on the left here, but getting rid of this other base that's coming online will also be a mounting issue if he's not able to secure his own 5th, which is what I was worried about, was that Light, even though he's done what he's done, he's not really got enough map presence to secure a 5th without it going unchecked here. So Jaedong's got all these like little scouting units in the bottom right just waiting for him to try and take a 5th, and he's waiting for those opportunities to go on the counter offensive once he does so. So Light's just trying to get the job done with 4 base economy right now, but Beautiful Plague's completely softened up the fleet of science vessels and now getting sniped by some Scourge. Jaedong's denying mining at the natural third as well. This is like Jaedong playing really well today, I have to say, San.
Yeah, he is hanging in there like nobody else can. Just amazing he was able to, after big losses in the early game, bring it to a position like this against Light. It all comes down to a lot of these Scourge plays that we've seen. We just saw a great one, going in there against all of those plagued units. Able to clear out a ton of those vessels, and he's even going to come in with the mutas. Here he is, sniping nearly all of them down. He is going to get that final one. Every single vessel goes down. Light is close to clearing this, but it's just not enough. We're going to bring reinforcements forward and save that base, and with these 2 extra gases online, I think that Light will have to tap out soon. He's played a pretty good game, but Jaedong's definitely been superior here with his Scourge play. able to bring himself back from a very big deficit this game.
Yeah, very shrewd 4-base timing attempt here for like, just can't quite get the job done though, unfortunately. Jaedong just on fire. There is 3 BCs here, but Jaedong's got the spore counters already. Like, this is how you counter BC, just throw down some spores, and then, you know, it just like sandbags them so much. Like, just for the cost of some minerals. So Jaedong's really like dotting every single I, crossing every single T today, and I'm really impressed with his play. Usually he's a little bit shaky, a little bit sloppy, and not quite performing or impressing. But I have to say, today he's done a fine job of it.
Absolutely. Light being the more sloppy one here in this game, you know, throwing away a lot of units in some of these drops and allowing so many of his drop ships to actually get picked off. There's the final.
GG.
Battlecruiser falling. GG. Zerg taking the victory here. Gets the clapper. Well done, Jaedong. Clutching it out there from a deficit. Great comebacks this week's.
Yeah.
It's just crazy comebacks over and over again.
Yeah, the comeback kings this week is absolutely insane. It's almost like each week, like with the script writers have a different idea for like what theme the week should be. Like, should it be like someone that just goes on an all kill spree and destroys everyone, or should it be like a tempo swingy like thing, or should it be like one race just dominating? Do you know what I mean? Like, it seems like there's like almost like a theme to each week. Like, I don't know, strange, right?
All right, let's just go to the screen and we can wrap up.
Yeah, man. We didn't get to see the freeway tie though.
No, two-way tie though.
Two-way tie.
Not bad.
Not bad.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, so the comeback week of KCM has concluded. Zerg taking a lead once again. We didn't get that three-way tie, but Terran and Protoss right on even footing as we move into the week number 6. It actually seems like we're going to have a race between those two races. Terran or Protoss, who is going to be the last place there. Zerg far and away ahead. It can change pretty quickly, though, if we get some more lackluster lineups, or if we get lackluster performances from these guys, or Protoss really steps their game up like they did in week 3 and week 4.
Right.
Things can turn around pretty quickly. We still have a couple more weeks, but it's looking pretty set at this point that Zerg will maintain that lead and continue on to take that final spot.
Yeah, and I think all things considered, with how like lackluster the Protoss squad was, we actually had a really interesting week and some very exciting games. Even that like Backhoe game on Monty Hall was very interesting. So even though the teams weren't optimal, I still think we got pretty good result here, and I imagine that the Protoss squad will be looking a lot stronger in these weeks to come. So I really feel like we're going to have that headlock race between Protoss and Terran if Zerg is still on the upward projection here. But I don't know, if Sulky and Hero stop bringing it, then maybe we will have a bit of a freeway race here still. I don't know how quite this last few weeks are going to play out for KCM. I hope the Protoss squad don't lose any kind of motivation and come in with some strong squads, though, because they should definitely be fighting right now.
Yeah, for sure. The Protoss squads have been historically a little bit lackluster. I think that's due to the fact that there's not as many Bonjour or really strong ASL contender Protoss available right now. It's basically, Snow, Bisu, Mini, Stork now is kind of like that fourth or fifth best is like the fourth. So, just a handful of Protoss that can be drawn from each week. We need to grab 3 each time. There's a few others that are almost at that level, but it feels like those 5 are like a cut above the rest.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And it's interesting to see, though, like, Stork has been able to kick it into high gear and has been able to hang with the other guys more lately. And that's exciting to see. And it's nice to see that the old is hanging out with the new. So you got a lot more of these modern Terrans like Speed and Sharp rising up through the ranks, but you've also got these other older guys that are still hanging too. And I think that's going to give us a much more diverse range of play across the board. So you'll see much more different approaches to the game in terms of strategizing or optimizing builds and what have you. And that just makes for a more exciting age, more exciting golden age of StarCraft to look forward to each week. So I'm really stoked.
Yeah, we were joking about this before the cast actually started about how, we keep calling Stork the dinosaur, and certain players are way older than other players, but they're all very similar in age. In reality, Stork is just 36. Someone like Flash is 34, and the baby TY is only 32 years old. So they're all very close in age, but they just have their reputations, they have their stories, and when they were starting out and when they were playing back in the day, those small age differences really made a huge impact. Now, not so much at all. Everyone's kind of on the same level, but it's great to see, even at this age, players are able to dominate and play so well. It really is a timeless game.
Well, it does seem like people aren't really slowing down too much with age, at least on this game. And if anything, like they're aging like fine wine. The more they develop their experience through like decision making and playing thousands of ladder games and really nailing how the fundamentals of the game play out and what have you. Even if they aren't quite as fast as some of these newer guys, they're more than fast enough to hang and leverage their more lexicon of experience that they've got to finally find a way of getting a finesse over these, so-called youngsters. So it doesn't seem like there's much of an age limit on these guys as we once thought there would be.
No, it seems to be quite the opposite. Like you were saying, experience is king, and the decision-making aspect of this game is so impactful. It's more impactful than any, fast twitch or, quick response time. Knowing where your opponent should be at and where relative to where you are, and understanding the potential possibilities of what can be done and preempting those things is way more important than reacting to what's happening on the map, for sure. So you want to say one more thing, Shun, before we wrap up here?
No. I mean, I've really enjoyed this week, and I really look forward to KCM. Like, it's hard not to. Like, how can you not be excited to watch these games? You never know what's going to happen every week, and like I said, it's almost like each week's got its own theme. So you get kind of like a different episode of its different arc of stories, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about being alive, is that life is just experiences and stories, and StarCraft is almost just a way of acting as the tessellation of that and the conduit of that storytelling in just one other form, and I'm all about it.
More great stories coming to this season of the KCM and all seasons in the future, guys. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go down to the description, check out all the links, go over to KCM's channel, give him a like. We appreciate him as well, and we hope he continues to do this into infinity and beyond. Guys, thank you so much. See you in the next video.
Thanks, guys.
Peace. All right, we're done. Oh,
nice. That was good games, good cast.
Yeah.
Considering how lackluster the Pro Squad was, that was about as good as we could have hoped for. I think that was actually really interesting, especially like the backhoe game on Money Hole made it way more exciting of a series.
Yeah, for sure. I looked at that, I was like, really, backhoe? But then the game was freaking awesome.
Yeah, I can't complain.
It was
honestly.
really, really good.
Yeah,
I can't complain.
It's like you buy something that looks like really shitty on the tin, and you like taste it, and it's like, oh, that's actually really good. Like, it's like a surprise.
Good, nice little surprise there. Yeah. Well, I am starving and I'm super tired, so I'm gonna go have lunch. Send me that audio clip.
Yeah, no worries, I got you.
Sounds good. All right, man. I'm gonna set up a podcast day this weekend if you're available.
Oh yeah, tell me when.
I have some time.
Yeah.
Probably tomorrow would be my best day
Oh,
if you're available.
I can't really do tomorrow. I got plans
Okay.
tomorrow. Pretty much any other day apart from tomorrow, I think is fine with me.
How about the 7th around the same time we regularly start?
The 7th, that's Monday. Yeah, I can do that probably. Yeah, I can do that.
So it'll be like Monday 1 a.m. your time, so like Sunday night.
Yeah, and I think
your time.
Wait, Sunday night my time. You mean Monday morning 1 a.m. my time?
Yeah.
Yeah. But Sunday night, I get what you mean. Yeah. We can do that. That's cool with me.
Okay, I will write it down on the calendar and I'll remind you on Sunday. Okay.
Right, man. Sounds good.
All right. Talk to you later.
Good cusp. Have a good one, boy.
You have a good night, man.
And take it easy.
See ya.
Peace. Right, I hope you guys enjoyed the casting. I enjoyed the games. I will be back soon for more. Have a great night, guys, or day.